This conference will now be recorded.
Mr. Chairman, the only change that I know of is that under general business, you were to know the receipt of the Victoria Lane Road District petition. If the auditor's office has a question out to them, so the request would be not take action at 8 o'clock, but table that until later on in your meeting. It may have to get continued until the 10th of October.
And then the Kroll one has pulled till October 24th, the 10 a.m. one, right?
If that's indeed what's going to happen, then that can be yes.
Yep.
So
That was their request.
until October 24th.
Correct.
I don't have a time.
Okay. Do we have any conflicts?
Mr. Chairman, I have a conflict at 9:30 with the Deer Mountain Village bonding and final plat.
Chairman, you need to make a motion for the agenda. Sorry.
Well, you're right.
I still have a conflict. I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the agenda. I apologize. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And it's approved here.
You're good. Thank you.
Okay. And we note Randy's conflict. Anyone else? Okay. The regular minutes from September 5th. What's your pleasure on that, gentlemen?
I move that we approve the grandest minutes I've seen this morning.
Second.
Okay, the motion is second to approve the wonderful minutes. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Bills. Usually forget those.
We try. Mr. Chairman, I have a few questions if I may. Page 1, under the auditor, 233424 Riverside Technologies Equipment.
It's our new new computer. Yep.
And that was budgeted.
Yes.
Thank you. Page 4, under government buildings, 4600 for Koala Electric Incorporated.
Yeah, we put new LED shop lights on the highway shop in Center City, exterior lights.
Thank you. And Equalization Esri Inc., is that your annual subscription for $4,400?
Yeah.
And then on dispatch on page 5, 3423 is the invoice number. RFCC dispatching supplies for $2,900.
Which one was it, Randy, please, again?
3422. 3423. Oh, sorry.
I think that's Dave's business, isn't it? Oh, it's doing the video time.
Yeah, consulting on the radio project. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I didn't know. And then on page 6, the $2,000 for Humane Society, is that our annual revenue? And lastly, I noticed that the public defender, or court-appointed attorney, excuse me, is $12,000 again this month. Thank you.
Further questions?
Motion for the bills. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to pay the bills. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Personnel, Brenda.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve classification change for Travis Love and Brent McNeil as presented.
I'll fire.
Okay, a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, we have Amber is here from the Public Defender's Office. She has a new hire. Did you want to talk about it, Amber?
So he has been practicing 26 of the last 28 years. He's coming up to Colorado. He will have the opportunity to hopefully, with the Supreme Court approval, start as soon as he can. We're tentatively looking at the 18th if we have the Supreme Court approval for him to practice prior to them totally reviewing. There's a special compensation or disposition for public defenders and legal aid offices only. that they can get someone who has practiced previously outside of the state before the reciprocity is fully granted to practice as an attorney without being supervised in court until his reciprocity is approved. So we're very hopeful. He's done prosecution and defense, and I think he's gonna hopefully be able to just step in. Obviously, the law is a little bit different, so he's reviewing that now until he gets started.
Okay,
You're starting him out at grade 5. Huh?
I am. I mean, he's got tons of experience, but he doesn't know South Dakota law yet. And so he and I discussed what we thought would be fair, given all of his years of experience. And he felt that starting at 5 was a fair compensation for him.
I see. Thank you.
And I would just let you know that I have not had one other applicant. Only 43 people took the bar this year, which is half of what is normally taking the state bar. And I didn't even have a law school student apply.
okay, what's your pleasure on that?
I have a question if I may.
Go ahead.
So would it be an advantage for you to have him start anyway at a different level until he gets that approved? Do you need the help? And then bump him up?
Oh yeah, we definitely need the help. Becky and I are doing what we can, but it is, yes, I mean, I certainly foresee there's a potential to,
Okay.
once he gets his feet under him and once we get the absolute approval from the Supreme Court.
Well, no, I was wondering if you would hire him at a lesser grade
Oh, at a lesser
until he
grade.
gets that approval
I-
to help you out.
Yeah,
And then we could bump him up to that.
I don't have an issue with that either, and I don't think he would either.
So what would you start him at then?
Probably, if I was gonna start him as a law student,
Right, yeah.
I would probably, thank you. I'd probably do it 2, just because he has the experience, and then bump him up to the 5 once he's got it.
Is that something that we should entertain, is to approve both the 2 now and the 5 when he gets the proper?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
Would he start, do you think he would go for that? I
Yes,
mean, it gets you help right away is my point.
Yes, I think I don't.
So the
think he
motion would be to
have-
approve the new hire at a grade 2 to be changed to grade 5 upon documentation from the Supreme Court
On full approval.
so moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion, Brenda?
What would his date of hire be?
Tentatively, it is October 18th, if we have the initial approval for him to practice prior to getting his reciprocity.
But if you do him now, would you start him
Well,
today?
No, October 18th is as soon as he would start
Okay.
regardless, so,
So
yes.
no matter what, so this would probably be resolved before
No.
then? No,
No.
okay, okay. So
I do not anticipate,
October
to
18th.
take about 4 months, yes.
Okay, further?
Thank you, Amber.
Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have, Jimmy.
That's it.
For
Do we have
personnel,
any travel
I
requests?
do, I have one. I have a travel request for John Bay and Corey Sheeler and Michael Magnuson to go to the 38th Annual Local Road Conference in Sioux Falls, leaving on October 23rd and returning on the 25th.
Mr. Chairman, I find that conference is invaluable for the highway staff, so I would support it and motion to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is that it, Brenda?
That is all I have for travel requests.
Okay. Resolution 2023-16, setting the 2024 county budgets. Public hearing was held and it was closed. So it's up to the board.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-16, 2024 county budget.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Sharon, there's 3 copies to sign up. Everyone gets to sign it. Thank you.
All right.
Radar.
Amendment to the pictometry agreement.
Credits here, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
So we had made an agreement in 2020 for the initial, 2019, for the initial pictometry flight. Now they're called Eagle View, but let's still call them pictometry because we're so used to it. And we flew the flight and this flight every 4 years is supposed to be the same price. We did have just a couple, because of some of the development in the area around Spearfish and Deadwood, we added, it was 5 extra tiles at a higher resolution. So that added $2,218 to the whole price of the contract, which is $101,489 instead of, it was originally $99. So we have to sign another agreement to that $2,000. And so those extra tiles are at a 3-inch resolution, which is a much better resolution than the rest of the county, which is at 6-inch. So it really helps with these areas that are being developed, be able to see what's going on.
So Brett, we've got partners in this. We have Whitewood, Lee, Deadwood, and Spearfish, right?
Right.
And
Correct.
those tiles, are they within their jurisdictions?
So there was just about, I think 2 or 3 were in Spearfish, and 2 or 3 were Deadwood. You know, the area up there they're developing, and by the interstate, so it was those areas that.
Are they compensating us or their resolution?
We comes out, we do it in thirds, so it'd be about,
Okay, so we would be paying a third of the 2,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
That's fine.
a little less than that.
Well, I'll add that Brett and I had a Zoom meeting with these folks because I had some serious questions about the contract. I had a couple suggestions. I asked them some technical questions, and they classified actually what their product is, and I hadn't had that information before. So what do they call it?
Certified?
Non-certified.
Yeah, non-certified.
And to me, that explained a lot because the non-certified is a different product than a certified product. And we have been receiving non-certified historically for what we do planning. That's fine. Did have an in-depth discussion about those, about the disappointment I had in the amount of snow that was on the ground behind Lookout, Higgins, up in the higher elevations, and they said they would work with us and communicate better so we don't have a bunch of snow on our inventory. Typically, you try to get a window between leaf off and before the leaves come on in the spring, and when the snow is gone, and that's about a 2-day window.
It seems like
It takes a lot of
March 16th and 17th.
yeah, but in some of these areas that had snow, like Lookout, if they had waited 2 weeks, it would have gone. We have a lot going on here. So did you feel assured that they would communicate better?
Yeah, I think so. It was good that they had some of the higher levels there because before it always kind of communicated with project manager, but always trying to, it was difficult.
Yeah,
So I think it'll better chance this time.
and they said they would contact Brett and I hope that's okay with the board because I understand the technical side. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to amend the agreement. Yes.
It's Eagle View, but we always call it pictometry. Changed.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
And Brett, you also needed to sign the master service
Yeah,
agreement.
that
and
master one.
and
There's 2 ones.
so there's like 3 different things to sign.
There's the one.
So
Okay, well, we'll sort this out.
Yeah, we'll sort it out later.
Next item is transfer the tile from equalization to
Mr. Chairman, it wouldn't technically have to be done, but just to note that equalization has agreed to transfer the old Tahoe, was actually totaled out to the maintenance office department, and I think eventually they'll probably use it up at the new jail building.
Okay, so we need to make a motion or not?
Yeah.
We need a reference. You
I have the
number
VIN
stuff?
number and all of that, yep. It's a 2006 Chevy Tahoe serial number. I have that.
So moved.
So Dave isn't gonna use it though?
No, they're gonna use it. They're gonna use it.
Yeah, I know, he said they were. Dave usually
Use
uses
it.
those.
That's not broke down.
No.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
We still have a motion.
I don't have a
Did
who's
you
second?
did a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion and a second, further discussion on the transfer. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, did the motion for the photometry agreement, did that also allow you to sign the master service agreement and the order form?
Either the chairman or the director of equalization.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's what I thought I heard.
All right, and this next one, the Victoria Lane, we're gonna do at a later date.
Yeah, we're just gonna, we have a
Table it.
discrepancy
Table
with
it.
the legal, so if we could have a motion to table and then
Move
we
the table that till the end of the meeting.
Second.
get
Okay, we have a
resolution.
motion and a second to table till the end of the meeting, is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Hazard mitigation grant program.
We've received confirmation that the grant has been awarded for the hazard mitigation grant. And Black Hills Council government will be doing the upgrade, and this is just for the county to accept that grant. Once that is signed, then we can go ahead and proceed with the meetings, and we can use our meetings as match for the grant, but until that's accepted, then they can't go forward.
Okay,
We need a motion as the chairman, allow the chairman to sign. I move that allow the chairman to sign the hazard mitigation grant.
Second.
okay. You seconded, Rich?
Yeah, second.
Motion in a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Randy, that is fees. Federal.
And is this, obviously we're gonna go on this, is just letting us know the county employee health fair is scheduled for October 18th, 2023 from 7 to 9 a.m. Do I have to take action?
No, Barbara's organizing.
Automatic budget supplement, road and bridge supplies, $846.91 for insurance proceeds payment supplement.
This is an additional amount for the 2020 Ford F-350 that we had already received $4,000 for this, and this is just a supplement amount that additional, so we just need to transfer it into the road and bridge supply budget so they can pay for the repairs.
So move.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
All right, Sheriff Dean. We're 5 minutes late, but it's your turn.
Well, good morning again. First, I'm happy to report that we were in need of some equipment, specifically SCBA's, which is the self-contained breathing apparatus that we would use in case of a fire evacuation in our jail facility. And we worked very well with our emergency manager, as we always do, and he was able to secure 6 from the collective efforts of the Lee Fire Department and Deadwood Fire Department. These items are, I think they're about 8,000 a piece, 8 to 10 if you were to buy new. So this is a significant advantage to the county, and I'd just like to offer my appreciation to Paul for helping us do that. He continues to be the guy that you go to if you need old stuff. He just knows where it's all at. On another note, the building continues. I think it's doing fairly well. We are soon to be receiving some bigger bills coming down. There's a bill for the moving of rocks and whatnot that's over and above what they had anticipated. That has been vetted as much as we can do so, and that amount is going to be roughly 201,000 and some significant change along with it. We've also got a bill coming, if we haven't already paid it, that was for hooking up the water. The city of Deborah, I think that is roughly $48,000.
Or two, yes.
And we've got an increase in some of the data, the IT type things that we need done in the new building with respect to dispatch. I believe we had anticipated that cost to be I believe it was about 36,000, and that was undershot by about 100. So we're working through those details now, and you'll be given a lot more details here in the not too distant future. But that's kind of a wrap up of where we're at. Outside of that, I'm told, and I believe it to be true, that change orders are still at a minimum for a building that is of that size. And we being your committee, your finance committee, working with our auditor, we meet very regularly, and we crunch the numbers as often as we can. So I still believe that we are underneath our building contingency fund. So I'm careful to point out this does not put us over budget. It just puts us within those funds that we had anticipated. But I will tell you that we are very thin.
Okay. Commissioner Lambert, then Commissioner Slate.
So on the rock, was that rock excavation for the footings or rock excavation along the highway?
That part is actually easily done. So that would be the footings, that would be some of the utility lines that they had to blow in. And then one of the ponds, I think, there was a significant amount of blowing stuff up that had to occur right blasting. To my understanding, they have, I think I'm fairly accurate on this, they've got 2 more lines to dig. One's across, is a water line across the front of the building. That has proven to be in the past easy to dig. Not a lot of rock through there, so we're not anticipating any problems there. And there is a small amount of rock that exists in the area where they have to build a smaller holding pond just on the other side of the road.
And then on the water taps, did we applied to have that tap fee waived with the city and it wasn't accepted, or what?
We did.
We did, and I would defer to Dr. Alka.
We did, and it wasn't.
Well stated.
Thank you.
Commissioner Slate, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question. I noticed the tower looks like it's taller, redone a little more on behind the Denver Lodge. Does that affect the height of your tower?
Does that affect the height of our tower? No, I don't believe that it does.
Is that new cell phone tower?
It's actually not a new cell phone tower. It's been around for quite a while, but it looks new because they took the casing off to make some adjustments.
Now they've been working on it there.
Okay. Further questions? Okay. Do we still have a bid opening today?
I would defer to Dr. Alka on that.
We do. We have one.
And this is for our 4 patrol cars, correct?
Yeah, and the plan is not to trade any in this year,
That is true.
which is a little different than normal.
$30,000.
Are you gonna use old ones or are you going to some other department?
Other departments, 70,000.
Cool.
What's that?
So as the customer chairman over the last several years, the only bid looks like it's from Unix. I think the auditor has just checked to make sure that there are no other timely bids. Seeing none, hearing none. So again, the bid is from Unix, and they're bidding for 2024 Dodge Durango Pursuit all-wheel drive V8s. They assert that the unit meets the minimum specifications. The price will include a desired tire upgrade, a wild peak, must have been asked for, and so and there is a 10% bid bond enclosed in the amount of $19,000, and so the total bid price for the 4 units at $47,000 each is $188,000. It's like even $188,000.
Commissioner, I'd like your permission to take that bid back to review the specs and ensure that it's within compliance and budget of what we have.
Sounds good.
No, we did that.
Okay. All right, the ordinance prohibiting jumping or diving from the bridge. This will be the second reading. Yeah, we had the first reading already, so we take action on it today. Is there any discussion on it?
Just 1 minute, I mean, so they kind of this is the second reading. First reading was September 5th, and nothing has changed with the proposed ordinance. I would note again that request contained therein is to have a finding that the ordinance is necessary for the immediate preservation of public health and safety, and if so, it shall take effect upon passage and publication, not 20 days thereafter, as would normally be the case.
So it becomes effective today.
When it gets published, which would probably be in a couple days.
Probably Friday. Are you, yeah, we'll publish.
Okay, we've had some letters and activity on this, and a lot of people don't understand the liability that has taken place, and it's not just a matter of the kids going out there swimming, which obviously no one has a problem with that, but they do get on the bridge and they impede passage of traffic through there, and they've enhanced the jumping off of the rail now to mini trampolines, jumping off vehicles to the point where the sheriff department has asked us for help. That's where this ordinance came from. So,
Mr. Chairman, I would also add that the ordinance was modeled almost verbatim off of a state law, so the state also prohibits this kind of activity from their bridges. Essentially, what I did is change state to county.
okay. So the state has had this in hand for a long time.
I'm not sure how long, but yes,
Okay.
it is state law.
Countable.
Sure.
I've got a problem with this for the same reason that everybody else or the other people that have gone against us have. And it seems to me if somebody's blocking traffic on a bridge, if there's ample law to remove them from that and the instructions. I don't know. I don't think jumping off a vehicle off of a bridge is a good thing, but I think blocking traffic, there's things that can be done. I think jumping off of other things on the bridge, there's things to be done. Parking in the roadway where they shouldn't be, I think things can be done. And I don't know. I've struggled with this. I don't think I can vote for it just because I still have a little bit of that goofy kid in me that I want to hold their perspective with some level of respect as well. I understand the safety standpoint and other issues, but
Has there been a bridge here in the state that the state has zeroed in on to say that they're for this deal? Do you know if it's a state bridge?
So this is a county bridge, right? So
Yeah,
state law, I
that's
think,
right.
prohibits jumping off of any state bridge.
Yeah.
Then they wouldn't govern your bridges. And so no, I don't know that there's any interest in the state or from the state regarding the particular bridge we're talking about.
Yeah, but the state had to have a reason for making a law in the first place. It wasn't this bridge, it was a different one somewhere else.
Yeah.
Do you know where that is? No.
Commissioner Nyberg.
Well, it seems to me that there's two activities here that maybe need some refining. We had the same issue, as you recall, for parking at Devil's Bathtub. And we worked very hard to resolve the parking issue and traffic issue up there, and it's resolved. So if the issue is parking and blocking traffic, maybe there's another avenue. The second is the safety issue, which the phone call I had described somebody bragging to me about them going off a mini tram while they drove their vehicle by. And those extreme measures force us to act. And so, discretion would be better than having to make rules, but we're kind of painted in a corner here because of those types of activities. So I've got mixed emotion about this, mainly because of the outliers that exist, safety issue.
I think the sheriff had one of his deputies, I think it was Chief Deputy Little, go out and do some measuring, and I don't have it right in front of me, but I want to say that the average water depth was about 6.5 feet, where they would jump into, and I think the bridge deck or where they jump from was, I want to say 12 or 12.5 feet above there. So I'm approximating those distances, but that gives you some idea of what they're doing.
Has Ryan given any tickets out for this deal here?
That's what this would allow him to do. And,
You don't have to have that for long to give a ticket for trespassing the vehicles, and he could do that on his own, couldn't he?
I don't know why they're not issuing parking citations along there. It is not posted as no parking. So
Can we continue this to the next meeting for further discussion and thought on this?
you can.
Would that be the desire of this board to maybe look into every corner rather than take action today?
I'll move we continue this till next meeting.
Okay, I'll second it for discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ackley is here as well.
Okay.
I bring it to you, Mr. Chairman, an update regarding the request by Mr. Haverly for utility or access utility easements across your property for the new jail building is going. Commissioners Dybert and Jennings have been involved in those discussions, and I think that pursuant to Commissioner Dybert's request, Mr. Haverly did contact the state and I think was able to get an access easement off of the highway. So it resolves that issue fairly. But I think he would like to discuss maybe with you a second concern of extension of utilities to the property, and then Commissioner Dybert would ask you if that committee's sort of role was done upon the access easement issue being resolved, and if there needs to be any further work done on utilities, to maybe consider reappointing the group. I would defer to you.
Okay.
Well, I guess I have a couple of questions for the applicant. You did get the approach permit from the DOT. Jerry, do you still need an easement across the corner of our property down at that site?
That would be the thing to do, and if we have to go down the road, it's like a half mile down the road or under the roads for each of them. And that adds.
I was just asking about the access. Do you need an access easement across the corner of our property?
I think we can do it without, I've got to get the state out there, but I've been down there and I think we can do it without going across your corner.
And so the idea that we had, if he got the approach permit and it touched our property down at the road, that we would grant the easement, that he would have a survey exhibit for. But it sounds like they're moving it far enough up the hill, I guess, down the hill, that it would be on his property and he would not need an easement. Commissioner Jennings and I had discussed this a little bit, and in my opinion, we were asked by this body to look at access. So if you want to extend us to looking into the possibility of utility easements, I would feel that we'd have to be reappointed to do that. Commissioner Jennings?
Yeah, I'm okay with it either way, I guess. We did kind of discuss a little bit on the utility easements, but not to the length that we did for access.
Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Mr. Haverly?
No, I didn't know where to start, so I've met with the architect and then RCS because they're building there to see if they could do work. And then we had Black Hills Energy out to see what would work for them, and we're trying to work within the utility easements that already exist. But that's what I was hoping to do, was to come up with a route and something that could work and see if that works for you.
Well, I think if you agree that the original sort of authority of Commissioner Jennings and Commissioner Diver was to work on access, that issue's been resolved, would you reappoint them? Are they willing to serve maybe in furtherance of discussions about utility easement extensions? That's my thought.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I appreciate the applicant reaching out to the DOT. We were pleasantly surprised, weren't we,
Yeah.
Jerry, that they would do that?
Pretty much said no.
Yeah, and that's a tribute to our new engineer down there. He's been very, very good. So just a shout out to the DOT for cooperating with us.
Yep. Push to have these two back on to deal with any utilities issues that may arise for us. Public Safety Services Center.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Chairman, Jerry, if I may, I don't know what the next step would be. Can I put the ball in your court to contact me, and then I can try to get the commissioners together as needed?
So I'm working with the architect and the builder to find out what makes sense for an easement to bring to the community, I guess.
I will stand by.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eight
Yes,
fifteen.
part of U 15.
Yeah, I put that, yeah, it should have been 8:25. That request was withdrawn. We're just noting that for continuity's sake.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Dr. Outka, I recently looked at that statute, and it's kind of broad on some of the language. I'd like the opportunity sometime to sit down with you and look at that on who needs to sign when it's under 5 people or 3 people. So if we could do that at some time, I'd really appreciate it.
Ken, it is a matter of some interpretation,
And it might lead to getting an agency opinion.
or maybe legislative clarification.
Okay, but we
That has been
we
addressed.
don't need to take any action on this item.
No.
Go to the 8:30. Highway Superintendent Bay.
Good job catching up.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
I got a couple of permit requests. The first one is, this is Ron Williams of AE2S is requesting an approach permit off the North Rochford Road. And it's already, the portion of the development that's already in place and the roads that are already in place and they're part of the current master plan for that. This would be in addition to those existing 3 approaches. We already have 3 approaches within 1,270 feet of one another. This would increase that to 4 approaches within 1,900 feet. The sight distance to the south is a little minimal. It's short. You can see fairly decent, but you can lose smaller cars and motorcycles in a rise there on that project. I indicated to them that I wasn't in favor of this, and that's my recommendation to you as well, as that I am not in favor of this approach. I think they got enough approaches out there, and I don't like the location of this one. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation. All
So the motion is to deny. Is that correct?
yeah, that's
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for denial following Highway Superintendent's recommendation. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The other permit I have, this is for a temporary, oh, I think I gave you the wrong one, sorry.
Yep, it's very troubling.
This is for a temporary power source to supply Black Hills Power to the west side of Spirit. they have a switching transformer burned up. They've got it temporarily working, so they need to put a power line across the Hillsview Road. Now, this is a portion of the road that is in our land trade with the city of Spearfish, but I guess it's currently still our road. They do plan on having this in place and removed by the end of October. So my recommendation is to approve this.
Mr. Chairman, we have had several instances where we've lost power, at least my place, which is just west of this. So I would move to approve this temporary, and so we can continue to have power.
Okay, I'll second it. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm tired of setting clocks.
Okay.
Yeah. Mine go full.
I also have a couple of certificates that need to be signed. We've already, you guys last meeting signed for the temporary easements on these bridge project on the Whitewood Service Road. This is now for the right-of-way certificate for the state to satisfy them, and also for the state to satisfy that the utility companies have been notified. So it's a certificate of for utility removal or replacement. So I need these signed by the chairman.
Looks like it's signed. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval and signature. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Oh, that's for that's for the 5-year plan.
We need that one signed too.
Yeah, make a motion first.
Is that all you have left, John, is the 5-year highway plan?
Yep, we need a signature on that. We went over the 5-year plan last time. It has to be turned in by October 15th. So unless you guys have anything to delete or add or any changes you want to make in the 5-year plan, either way, I need this signed.
Motion to approve, have the chairman sign. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Commissioner Seibert.
So that gets us qualified for the grant program.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
You wanted to have a discussion on the Yellow Creek Road?
We have a group of citizens. I think some of them are here today. They're concerned at the amount of traffic that is increasing traffic on the Yellow Creek Road between the landfill and the intersection of the Kirk Road. The Kirk Road is currently a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. The speed limit on Yellow Creek is a 30-mile-an-hour speed. There's a lot of houses. The proximity to the road, they're very close. They're requesting a speed limit change to 20 miles an hour between the Kirk Road and the Yellow Creek Road. I don't have average daily traffic counts. The state does not either. I did get some accident reports. Between 2019 and today, we've had 6 accidents on that road, everything from weather related to DUI related, no fatalities. As far as the road goes, I wouldn't mind seeing the speed limit reduced there to at least to match the Kirk Road. You know, it goes from 25 to 30, right at the intersection. I don't know if there's a real need to have it. I understand with the houses as close as they are to the road there, they would like it lowered to 20, and if they would like to speak, some of these people may want to address that, but I would like to see it at least to the 25 to match the.
Yeah, we had a county employee come in earlier this morning too, that also lives up there, that has a strong desire to see it reduced as well. Commissioner Flanagan, you had a question?
I didn't, but I do have a comment. I think when you look anywhere, city or county, and there aren't any on the county that I'm aware of, but The only time you see a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit is near a school, through a big subdivision. And this is neither. This is a county road. I understand there's people that live out there, but it's been a county road since long before anybody that's alive lived out there. I could see going to 25, but I can't see going to 20.
Commissioner Diver.
Do we, John, do we have any 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in the county?
We do, yeah.
Where are they at? Do you know? Are they within subdivisions?
Well, my road, I live on the Bower Road, that's 20. Wildburger Road is 20.
So we do have a few dead
Custer
ends.
Peak Road is 20.
The Custer Peak, but not Custer Crossing, right?
No, Custer Peak,
All the ones at dead end.
correct.
I think Hillsview, not Hillsview, Higgins Gulch, the dead ends.
Oliver Street. Part
That's
of
where it
Oliver
goes to the
Street
dead
is
end to
20.
Golliers.
Yeah, we got that, yeah.
Just at that last piece.
Sale Barn in St. Ange's 20. And the Wildburger Road, as I said, and Winterville Drive is 20.
Winterville's one of those.
Big city. Well, you know, I'm kind of on the same page as Commissioner Flanagan. I'd hate to go 25, 20, and then back to normal speed. So if we're going to change it to 20, I think we should do it on the whole thing. But you know, I'm to the point where if we change it to 25 and we ask the sheriff maybe to pick up some patrol out there, especially with the ATVs and stuff, have a stronger presence, maybe that would be the happy medium.
Throw that sign out there for a while.
That's what I'm saying.
Damaged.
Is there anyone in the audience that has a real strong desire to add anything to this? Sheriff?
I'm sorry, I walked in halfway through the conversation. Would you like us to?
Well, thank you for volunteering. It's a piece
Yellow
of Yellow
Creek.
Creek just off of Kurtz, where they have speed issues.
Sir? Can you please stand up and state your name and address, sir?
I am Ray Ryan. I live on the Yellow Creek Road, first house,
What's your address, sir?
21131.
All right,
Yellow.
thank you. Need this for the record.
I've lived there since 1987, so I'm not new. I'm not a transplant. I've seen the changes. It was my grandparents. You guys are probably sick and tired of hearing about four-wheelers. We're a main artery from all the rentals, right up Yellow Creek. You know, I don't know what else to say. We're getting bombarded. Four-wheelers, the newcomers, which is gonna happen. There ain't nothing we can do about it. Things are changing, so do other things need to change. I don't know how else to bring it up. And safety issues. It makes no sense going from 25 to 30 as soon as you hit a residence, which is my place. Rails to trails is right there. There's gonna be a problem there, summer or winter, increasing the speed limit. We're just asking for a portion of this to be to 20. Road conditions in the summer and winter. Dust control, which John and I have had conversations about, very good conversation.
Okay.
And then the truck traffic to the dump has increased exponentially, which may be a topic for another meeting. It's crazy the amount of traffic that has increased on that road. We need to have law enforcement presence and some speed limit reductions is going to curb. It ain't gonna make it go away. You can't make it go away on the street right out here 100%. So I'm just asking, you know, we gotta live there. A few of us are living that every day.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Hopefully
Anyone else?
I've made that.
Ma'am?
I'm
Please.
Veronica Hess. We live at the corner of Wasp and Yellow Creek, and the address is 21203 Wasp.
Okay.
But the main part of our property is along Yellow Creek. The traffic in the last 2 years has increased crazy amount. We've got an explosion of Airbnbs that rent to a lot of ATVs. And I think everybody gives them Yellow Creek to go out because they don't want to ride on the pavement. Some of them don't have, that I've talked to because they're lost, don't have plates. So they use Yellow Creek to stay off the main drags. The accidents, there's more than what's counted for because there's ATVs that go off the road into the ditches and pull themselves out with their wrenches or with somebody else's wrench or just yanked out. So there's more than what you would think. There's people that get pulled out by friends or whatever. The traffic coming around those corners, there's a lot of blind curves, especially between Kirk Road and the Rebel site. We had the mailboxes used to be located down further on Kirk Road. We got what not Yellow Creek. Because it was on a blind curve, it was dangerous, it was scary. We got that relocated to inside Wasp Road for safety with the postmaster. That has made that better. We're doing everything that we can do to try to make it safer for those of us that live there. I'd like to be able to walk along the road, and I have friends that do walk along the road. It's dangerous. The blind curves, they come around because they're afraid of going off the edge. They come around either in the middle or they hum the hill on the wrong side of the road. We have had to climb the hill. Thankfully, we weren't on the ditch side when somebody came around one of the blind corners. At least we had a four-wheel drive and we were able to get out of the way. So there's a lot of that that's going on that you guys, I don't think, are aware of.
Okay.
You know, the blind side of the road, the trucks, the dump trucks, all of them. And a lot of them, there's new construction going out there, so we also have construction crews. There's just, it's gotten really scary. We creep around the corners. My kids creep around the corners when they're coming out to visit because they've almost been hit. It's only a matter of time.
All right, thank you. Anyone else, briefly? Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Ryan and
Name and
I,
address.
Garden Brothen, I'm at 21143. Ray Ryan would be my closest neighbor. We have a unique situation where our properties are split by Yellow Creek. So we both have to actually cross the road to our outbuildings and to our vehicles, like our garage, for instance. So it's dangerous in that respect when somebody is going by 35 miles an hour. And that was just another thing I wanted to point out.
All right, thank you. Ma'am?
My name is Aileen Ryan. Ray Ryan is my husband, 21131 Yellow Creek Road. I've been there since 2005. The trucks are outrageous. The speed is crazy. Like Darvin said, that when we're crossing our road and the trucks are, language, hauling ass down that road, you have to get going. You're listening for those trucks, but not always do you have time to get across.
Yeah.
My concern is Yellow Creek and Kirk right there, the Mickelson Trail. I don't know, I can't even count anymore how many times I've almost seen somebody get ran over. Walking, dogs, bike riding, snowmobile, they do not look. They have to go by their rules as well. But somebody is going to get killed there. I'm surprised we have to get, God forbid.
All right, thank you.
I do have one more thing to add. I was nervous. So these rental companies that rent ATVs, side-by-sides, whatever, are popping up all over, especially in the last few years. Would it be possible to get them to have some sort of guidelines that their customers have to follow when they go through residential areas? Because they're out just having a good old time. And
we've been struggling with the side-by-sides and the four-wheelers for several years now, trying to get our arms wrapped around it and trying to work with those people, just as you suggested, that to try to improve on that. So we have been involved in it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, commissioners, Randy.
Just for clarification, the WASP dump is under the city jurisdiction? They have a contract?
The city of Deadwood, the city of Lee, We'll send that together.
Okay, so what we could do is ask them to post some information and have them talk to their truck drivers. I think that would be helpful. And I think, do we have like pedestrian crossing signs, something like that?
I
You could install
don't
out there?
think that I have any in my inventory, but I mean, we can get pedestrian crossings.
You know, I think some awareness there, and then maybe lowering this to 25, increase the presence of the sheriff's office to the ability you could, while the new speed limit is anchoring, and try the 25. That's where I'm at with it. It's a little more awareness and work with the cities to talk to their people and calm that truck traffic down. The ATVs is another ongoing issue.
I have one more comment. There's an area of Kirk Road that is 15 miles per hour where the houses are. I know that's considered City of Deadwood, so that's why the lower speed limit. But the rest of Kirk Road that's 25 has no homes on it.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
About the truck traffic. It ain't just the city trucks. We have trucks coming from other townships to this landfill.
Yeah.
Topic for another conversation.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. We're gonna get some closure on this. What's the board want to do here?
Well, I don't think the speed is the total problem there. It's the condition of the road and the way people are driving and that. You're gonna have the same problem. We're gonna have the same problem with other roads as this one. It isn't any different than the 134. Same thing kind of deal. So, and the speed limit reduction is going to help, but it didn't being him coming in asking for a slower speed limit. Yeah.
Well, I would agree with the highway superintendent. I would support 25. Commissioner Diver.
Well, and just for clarity, it was for the disposal site up there. It would be talked to all users, not just
right.
Yeah. But I would move to follow the recommendation of the highway superintendent, post this at 25, and to give him the discretion of posting other signs as he feels appropriate for the pedestrian crossing and other items.
Sounds good. I'll second that. Okay, we have a motion second. Further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for coming in. Well, hopefully this will help.
One housekeeping matter before you maybe transition to planning and zoning. The sheriff has looked at the bid from Junix and would make a recommendation that you accept the bid waiving irregularities for the 4 vehicles at the price of $47,000 each for a total of $188,000.
Okay.
So moved. Second.
Okay, with motion and second to accept the bids from Unix. Pardon?
I was just doing the waiving here, all regularities.
Oh.
Bruce liked to say that out loud.
Okay.
Yep.
So noted. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'd like to ask one question there, because how come they aren't trading on cars?
No trade-in, Sheriff?
No, sir. So during our budget presentation, we made reference to the fact that with the new building, there were other county departments that wanted or needed the vehicle to go back and forth. So the intent was to give one vehicle to the computer department, give one vehicle to the state's attorney, and a vehicle to the public defender. And our needs are to have a spare vehicle. So that was the plan.
Did that complete your business, John?
I got a couple things I gotta bring up when you got time.
No, well, go ahead and do it right
I wanted
now.
to,
Then we're gonna take a quick break.
in my report there, you'll see that the Christensen Drive, I wanted you guys to be aware of that. That we might have to close that bridge. I don't know, we'll see. It's getting pretty tough. They're gonna come inspect that next week again, and be prepared, it might be closed.
Is there a way to push that up just for emergency purposes?
Well, we patched it. We patched the hole that developed, and which was recommendation of the engineer. They want to come look at it again and possibly move it to a 6-month instead of an annual inspection. And boy, if it goes to 6 months, I only see it being closed after that. I really do. Okay. Just a heads up. And then one other thing, I know you guys have made the comment, you wanted to know what was going on a little bit at that scripper shop. We're kind of wrapping up all of our summer work, and we're gonna continue with our paving project that we are doing around the building there. I don't know. I know you guys had some plans with that building, possibly. I think our exit 10 information center is gone.
Right.
So
Yeah, we're gonna say it too.
we want to continue on with what we didn't get finished last year.
I don't have a problem with it.
Thank you.
That's
Clean up
good.
the mud hole.
Did you get a chance to look at those trees?
I
Do you
did.
think we could just trim them?
They're within the right of way.
I know, but would trimming them help?
Well, it would help.
Knocking them down would be
Okay.
the best safety.
The law says we're supposed to knock them down.
John, will you
Well-
be here for that discussion?
I can be.
Okay. Let's take a quick break and then we'll get going again.
We're gonna mute the recording for now, folks. We'll go live here. Stand by.
Is that one on, Brenda?
And we did
Yes,
modify
sir,
the
yes.
ordinance, but not.
Did they?
Looks like.
No, I think this one might be.
Jackie, can you hear us?
So that's okay.
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Jackie?
Well, we're all right for now.
Is that on the agenda?
All right, the first one's layout plan for hybrid rentals.
Yep, so this is a layout plan for High Ridge Rentals. Scott German, he's proposing to do a 5-lot subdivision off of Highway 14A and 30 acres into 5 parcels. We did tell him that he would be required to do a fire plan with that. Have not, obviously this is just the layout plan, so he's still in the phases of that. I do have some concern with originally the 40-foot driveway access that they're providing off of this right here. So Warren Loop is an existing road, and they're doing a 40-foot driveway access here, but the way I look at it, it's to 3 lots, 4 lots almost, and that wouldn't be allowed. Usually you have to have a 66. We have told them that, but we're not to the preliminary plat yet, so that was my concerns with it. I don't know if you guys have any other concerns with it.
Commissioner Lambert?
Well, I agree with staff. Right there where it connects, obviously they did that panhandle so they reach the road, so they would stay away from building a road. So there's a lot of solutions there. They could come in 100 feet with a 66 foot, put a turnaround there, and then they could go the 40 feet and meet the ordinance. Is that a fair
Yes.
assumption?
As long as the 40 foot is only the 2. They can do that.
And furthermore, if we gave the approach permit, we would want one approach there, so they'd at a minimum be sharing that approach with the panhandle.
Loop is going to be an approach that you're going to give.
Is it in a road district?
I believe they do have a road. That's Three Sisters subdivision. I think they did do a road district up there. Yep.
But I agree with staff that needs to be resolved.
Okay. Okay. Any other? That was it. I just wanted to make sure we're giving them the same information. If you have any other concerns with it, this is layout. Like I said, I didn't get a preliminary for October, so I don't know if they're going to go forward with it or not.
Okay. Layout for Tomahawk Country.
This is Tomahawk Country Club and Sawyer Memorial. So this is one that's been kind of in the works for a while now. This is a very interesting plat. There's lots going on here. So we did do a layout plan. We have a preliminary submitted for October already, so you'll see that in October. Brad is currently back from being overseas, so he's here, his first meeting back. We're glad to have him back so he can work on his plans. So he's here in case you have any questions or concerns, but basically what they're doing, this started a few years ago where a portion of the Tomahawks golf
there's some
little trailers area, right?
Yep.
That they found that it was on the Sawyer Memorial property, so they couldn't really do anything with it because there was like a corner of it.
I think there was a kind of a handshake agreement a long time ago that they could build there. So
yeah, so they're trying to maybe fix that a little bit, and then also have some tracks available so we know where the legal descriptions are. And I think it'll clean it up in the end. It's taken us a while to get this far. Is there anything else besides that? I mean, it's just creating 2 boundaries so you have Sawyer Memorial and Tomahawk Country Club.
Okay. Commissioner Lambert.
So there won't be a fire plan on this?
There wouldn't, because it'd be a consolidation
consolidating like 12 or 14
relot, yeah.
And then the hatched area, are they dedicating that right away, or is that dedicated already? The highway.
They're dedicating it. It's Highway 385.
Okay. Have you spoken to the DOT on that action, what they want done there?
I don't have. I think
they would be signing the plan.
Yeah. So I'm unfamiliar on that. I guess. Like I said, I've been gone for 9 months in Iraq, so we can check on that to make sure as it goes forward.
Other than that, I think it'll clean up a lot of stuff. It just make sure we get it all in there.
Okay, well, if you can follow that direction and follow up on that, then it looks like Everybody seems to have be in agreement here. Is that correct?
Okay.
Final plat?
Mr. Chairman, on item 3, we've seen this about 6 times. We know what's going on. I would move to approve the final plat as presented.
Okay,
Thanks.
I'll second it. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
We've seen it for 4
I
months.
should pull a diver and go, now wait, okay, so I just want to talk a little about this.
Four Bears and Hills.
Let's not.
Preliminary and final.
You're
plat.
welcome, Amber. Welcome home.
This one is similarly, we had talked about this one before. So Apple Springs, I think I had done a layout on this one for you guys. So Apple Springs, in the original PUD, there was some discussion on these little cottage lots, but originally the cottage was going to be up by the old barn. They would like to move those cottages down to right in front along the country club area, like where the golf course is, right where you go by the wheel, if you know when you come in. So they're breaking up the big tract right there in the middle. You have tract 1 and tract 2 with a new road. The road has always been in there. There's a dirt road that you can cross right in there. Now they're just creating it for attachment. So I think it's been there. It just hasn't been dedicated to this point. It's dirt right now, gravel. And then it gets down, it'll attach to the other road across, and then it goes down to where like the sewer plant is down on the bottom side there. But ultimately what you're gonna see here is their little cottages. So Mike Short will keep ownership and then probably set it up like a condo type style. They'd all own, a portion of. That's what it'll probably look like. It's allowed within their PUD, so it's not changing from the original plan, just changing the location, which I didn't, it's still a good location.
Okay.
That's really what the plat's about. Is there anything you want to add?
No.
What's your pleasure?
I'm confused. The zoning says suburban residential.
It
You
is,
said
but
PUD.
it's because this was before we had PUD zoning in place.
So they have a master plan. that
They
they
have,
submit,
yeah, they did the old PUD process where we have an underlying PUD.
like we did up at the meeting.
Yeah, yep.
And so you have an update on that. So you have a paper trail for this.
What do you mean? The update is the plat.
Okay.
They're moving it
So you're
forward here
comfortable.
in
You
this
have the
location.
paperwork you need.
Yep.
And the recommendation from planning and zoning was approval.
Was recommended to approve both preliminary and final.
I move to follow the recommendation of planning and zoning and approve the preliminary and the final as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the preliminary and the final plat.
Yes.
No further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. So this one, we had just created track B2 a month ago, and this was from home state to a sink family. And then after they got ownership of it, now Michelle and Heather would like to break up track B2 into 2 lots, 1 for each of them, basically. So it's just it's right off of Yellow Creek. The lot line revision, the fire plan was submitted with the last one. So we did have them do a fire plan on the overall. And then how they set this fire plan up is the lot that is going to be built on, the fire work has been completed. The other one has not. And there was a provision in the fire plan that basically said they, if they go to build on it, they would then have to complete the rest of it. And we've done that with a few different ones.
Can you bring up the final plat, please?
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty basic, has road access, and John, is this one, you already did a approach permit on this one, didn't you, or not yet?
No, I did for the one.
For Heather's, for where
Yep.
we're putting the house.
And then I did meet with Dan Essick on the second,
Okay,
for his proposed site. He has not done an application yet.
right.
Waiting on this.
Yep. But I think, have the commissioners already approved Heather's driveway permit?
Correct.
Right, I thought you did that.
Okay, look, sure. Pleasure here.
No fire plan needed?
No, there is a fire plan there, they're
There's
already
already
done with it.
Recommendation.
It was motion to approve, or all of them were approved, preliminary and final.
Motion to approve preliminary and final following recommendation by lead zone.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Greener. Preliminary and final.
All right, so this one, preliminary plat, this is off of Crook Mountain Road, that's where you're coming off of this at. She is trying to do some estate planning on this. It sounds like the kids will get the different lots. There was some concern from staff standpoint and the planning and zoning board. They did recommend approval of the preliminary plat with the same notation that we put on the other plat out there about Crook Mountain Road not being approved by the county. Staff suggested shared access points on the driveway between the lots. And then I did recommend denial of the final plat as submitted due to the fact that some of the dead down material and general cleanup of the lot should be implemented according to the fire plan prior to any final plat being submitted. Planning and zoning, I went through the same review and they did end up following that recommendation. I know Brad wanted to maybe add some stuff to this plat a little bit with he wasn't able to be at the last meeting, so maybe some more explanation.
So I met with Irene yesterday. The whole principle behind this plat is to separate things out for her state, try to get things in line, so in the event that something would happen, that it would be divided up and everything would be taken care of. So there's 4 lots that are being created. 2 of those lots would eventually go to the family or to the children, and then the other 2, depending on whether long-term needs were, like long-term need was there, those would be sold out for that. The one that has the most issue with any kind of fire mitigation would be going to one of the sons. He does currently do logging on there himself. He burns wood to heat his current resident. So they'd like to kind of maintain that on there for him to do that. There's no plans to build on any of this anytime soon. She's healthy and whatnot. So there's really no plans for any of this to get changed or developed in any way. It's really just to set up things to make sure that it's correct for the estate and that stuff taken care of. So we would like to have it approved, preliminary and final, so we can kind of close out that estate stuff. And then with the recommendation that at the time of a building permit on lot 4 or any of it, I guess, that it would have to be executed. Sounds like it would be kind of no different than the previous plat that just went through.
And that's consistent. 1, 2, and 3 is pretty much done according to the fire plan that we got from Rob. Yeah. It was lot 4 that had. And even
50% of lot 4 is pretty open as well.
Yes.
But lot 1 is not owned by the applicant, is that correct?
It is.
It is.
Well, the little lot is not. This little
Right.
one in here, that's
Correct.
not part of this plat.
Yes.
But this one up here, all of these lots will still be owned by Irene.
Right.
Yep.
But I have somewhat of an issue with the driveway that's going along the other lot, the lot 1 that is not owned by the applicant. That's going to create a lot of dust right along that property. Should be.
That's an existing drive, though. It's been there.
It is an existing.
Yeah, it's not a new access because Irene actually used to own that lot 1 and sold it many years ago. But it's an existing driveway, I guess, that already goes by there.
Okay. So they're going to love you upstairs. She's going to love you upstairs. There's 2 lot 1s in that same quarter.
It already got talked about. Yeah. But
dean's office accepted
Mr.
it.
Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
could you bring up the final plat, please? Yeah, it's usually a practice to not have lot ones. They could have went track one or parcel one, and then it would be easier to index. But it is what it is today. I don't find, and maybe Brad can help me, where's the dimensions of the 66-foot private access easement on the final plat? I don't see them on there. And I know it parallels the lot line, but it extends significantly up between lot one and lot two. And I don't see a dimension there, but
It's private, so you can't just do it by
Private
exhibit
access easement.
66 foot.
it says this plat. It says this plat. So it's trying to, it doesn't say dedicated this plat, but it says this plat, which infers dedication. But while you're looking,
talking
Brad,
This one right here. is what you're
yeah,
talking.
yeah, there's no dimensions on that. And then, was there a road profile required on this? Up the road, Crook Mountain Road?
It's not our road. Crook Mountain Road is Forest Service. We don't have, this is the same property that's right across the street over here.
I understand.
Yeah.
I just was, normally we require as-built on multiple lots, and I just want to have in the record why you didn't require it. Okay, I just wanted to have the paper trail. So, so I would move to approve the preliminary plat as presented.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Who was the second? Flanagan.
I have a question on the final, if I may, Mr. Chairman. So did the existing fire plan, Amber, did the existing fire plan state in it that they could do that lot 4 later?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it did. It's just different than, that was his recommendation because he knew what the overall plan was for the family.
And there's no structures on 4?
There's no structures on
Any of it?
any of it.
Thank you.
How do you want to handle the fire plan on lot 4? You want to do approval of the final and restrict any building permit on lot 4 until the completion of the
That's
fire
what you've
plan?
done in the past, because that's consistent with what the fire plan kind of shows.
Okay, so moved.
I'll second it. Further discussion? Commissioner Diver.
So if that's the case, why did we have a denial at planning and zoning?
Because they followed my recommendation.
Your recommendation was to not
deny the
deny.
final plat.
What's
My
changed?
recommendation was to deny the final plat as submitted until the fire work was all completed.
And so you did not distinguish lot 4
I
in
did
that
not.
discussion. So what has changed?
I'm not making the recommendation, Mr. Flanagan is.
Okay.
So let me, if I could.
Okay.
Are you, when the planning and zoning director should be following planning and zoning, the ordinance and those kind of things, and making recommendations that way. The planning and zoning board in general should take that into account and will follow or will not, normally does. That doesn't mean that that's the end of the discussion, or
Correct.
maybe exactly how you feel, but that's what it says. Am I mistaken there?
Nope.
Is it, if we have done this before where
Yes.
we restrict that one? Are you still fine with that on this particular plat? Okay.
It just so everybody knows, the problem that I have with conditionally approving these classes, it makes it very difficult for us to keep track of them. That's really what transpires.
Well, I was hoping that the original motion would include, if dimensions are not on the easement, that they're applied before it's filed.
Brad's fine with that. He shook his head.
It was included in the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was what I seconded. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have a nay. All right. I missed that.
Did you find it, Brad? I didn't see it.
No, you're talking the private access easement.
especially where it extends to the
dimensions
northwest.
on these.
So do we dedicate this?
Yeah.
He's
Don't
gonna
sign
edit
the
this.
final, because
He needs to edit it.
you'll have to
Sign it?
edit it, yeah. So just don't worry about
Both
that
of
one.
these, leave them.
Preliminary, let's see, that's just the final. You must have already signed it. So who would, do you need to, because you had one.
Okay.
Jen.
Okay.
So who made your motion?
I made the motion. Flanagan.
And then
Motion
Renee.
made, second.
Are we down to Ranapa now? Remember?
Yes, and I believe Cleo is online.
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Cleo. All right, so this one is a preliminary and final plat. This is off of Robe Lake Road. This is a kind of a similar estate type stuff. The three kids now have joint ownership of the whole parcel. They're trying to break each one into their own ownership. It's 23.5 acres a piece. So each kid will get the same thing. Lots 1, lots 2, lots 3. This lot A up here, which is what I would consider the old home that has always been there, is currently owned by Mark Ramapaugh, and he will get lot 1. And then I believe, Cleo, your lot is lot 2, is that right?
That's correct.
And then lot 3 will go to Kurt. About the only thing that had kind of come about this is you have the Robe Lake Road, which comes all the way along here. There's an existing driveway that goes to the house where Mark lives. There is a section line there. The section line has not been vacated. We have approached Mark about that, but at this point, he hasn't done anything. He probably will at some time. About the only question that had come up at planning and zoning, or the original plat did not show this easement going all the way to the lot line of lot 1, but the P&Z board had some concern of keeping access to lot 1 because obviously, yeah, you have the section line, but that's not necessarily an open section line, so they wanted to make sure there was access still. So the siblings were all okay with adding this 40-foot wide private driveway through here just to keep it. But in theory, more than likely, the access will just extend once he gets the section line figured out and whatnot, so that he could utilize that. We did have a move this lot line in here to make it that none of the structures were in that setback area. The original one, there was some issues with the structure, but we had to move it to kind of mess with that. And then this old shed right here that's just barely, there's one here, that one is going to be removed. So it'll go away anyways. It's an old one falling in. So that's kind of the gist of it. We do have floodplain through here, so everything, you know, building wise, they should be able to have structures out of the floodplain fairly easily.
Mr. David.
So the Robe Lake Road is a Forest Service road?
With a contract, right, John? You do some
We do snow removal.
snow removal out there, and it's kind of a.
But it's not our jurisdiction.
It's not our road.
And then 385 is DOT. Did the DOT sign the final plat?
They have not yet, but they will.
Mr. Jennings.
Why are they using access off of 385 instead of Robe Lake?
Well, they already have access there, so there's a gravel driveway here already, and there's a gravel driveway here. Forest Service doesn't like to give more than one access to a road, but this driveway here is already there. It's an existing road. They're just dedicating it for future in case there was ever an issue for access. They have more than enough access.
Okay. And this is exempt, it's all metal, is that correct?
It's all meadow, and there shouldn't be, I mean, there's nothing. They did actually have somebody look at it, but there was nothing.
I'll make a motion to make this exempt due to the fact that it's a metal.
So they have a fire plans.
We have one anyway, so you don't even have to exempt it. Yep.
So disregard. We have to declare it exempt anyway, don't we? Or do
No,
we?
because
Oh,
they
you already
did
have
do a
plan.
fire
Oh, never
plan,
mind.
and the fire plan stated they don't have to do anything.
That's my motion on this plat, so I'm done.
I'll move to approve the preliminary and final, but I'd like the motion to note that Robe Lake is not on the county system, and any permitting for approaches would be permits through the Forest Service. I'm just talking about Robe.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion.
And so the DOT will for sure sign the road approach? Or
They-
do we need to have it?
If they don't sign it, it won't be filed.
Yeah.
It's
All right.
their authority.
All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. All right, let's see if I can wrap my head around this one. Okay, so this one's kind of an interesting one, and this is a judgment call on your guys' part. That's why it's before you. So this is Mr. Schulte's purchased a piece of property from John Matson, and probably about a year and a half or so ago, I want to guess, right in there, John had come in and asked me, would this be a buildable lot? And I had told him at that time that I don't know at this point, because you would have to do deed research. I'd have to go back and look for it. We'd have to see what we could find. And I didn't know for sure, and I told him that. But in the meantime, him and Mr. Schulte's decided to go ahead and with the sale, they created a deed. And it's basically one of those deeds that it's a portion of this side of the road between this and this and this. I mean, it's just kind of defining that little corner. So the deed has been, it was deeded properly, I guess. Then it came down to the fact that Mr. Schulte's came in, looking at getting a building permit, started doing some dirt work out there, working on how to get water to it, and the sewer situation and all the stuff. As part of that, I still can't make the determination whether or not you would consider this a pre-existing lot of record. That's your call to make. With that, the location of it is when you come off of Two-Bit, we'll say come off the highway, come down Two-Bit, and it splits where you either go to the left to Two-Bit Road or you go to the right to that little subdivision that's back in there. It's right on the right-hand side, right on the, kind of by the culverts coming off the main highway, I would say. Very small triangle. And basically, when it comes down to it, I still am not sure if it's a buildable lot. Surveyor work has been done, which he would have had to do anyways, because we don't have really a legal description for it. They're calling it lot 10. This is the size, it's 0.481. And there is the center line for Legacy Place, and then Two-Bit, so that's kind of where it divides off there. They're showing a building setback, so it leaves a very small little window. I know he's looking at trying to put a very small little structure in there as a cabin or rental, I would expect. And water and sewer is an issue, but there are ways around that anymore. The state doesn't necessarily, you can't have a traditional septic system. Probably it's going to be pretty small in there that you might be able to make it fit.
You
But
can't get a well.
there's other options.
By state statute, you can't have a well septic tank less than an acre.
Correct. Yep, so he's trying to get water from the shared well that is on the property back behind here. There's a shared well there. Again, don't have, he's aware that he needs to work on that, I guess. You have, Troy, do you have any news on that? I know we talked about it.
As far as the well goes, I might try to give a broadcast, a well share with him, or roof, he's bringing a house in and the water line down. That might be a possibility, or a cistern. I grew up with a cistern. And then as far as the septic goes, Hallie and Eddie's already been out there. We've done a perk test. It was successful. There's room for a septic system. And then as far as the setbacks of the building area, the survey's been done, and there's quite a bit of room within all the setbacks to build a little structure.
Yeah. So first and foremost, you can kind of see I broke it out for you as best as I could to figure out kind of how that had gotten created. So in 1983, the Ray Placer was utilized to create 3 lots on 28 acres. In 84, 2 more lots were added with revisions to lot 3, which brought it up to 5 lots, which would have originally maxed out the density in the Ray Placer. And then 88, there was some change. 92, there was an additional 4 lots.
But what got interesting, everybody knows John Matson owned numerous acreage down there, so he just kind of kept adding in that area, and he put additional land into it and kind of moved the lots around based on total acreage. It just kind of all kind of went in this little area right there at first. So when it got down to it, I kind of lost track as to what the purpose of that original lot was. And the very first thing, which I have as an attachment in here, was the minutes, which was back from the original layout in 1983. There was no mention in any of this. It was approved as it was, with that little piece kind of being left out. So it sounded like at one time it was kind of just in case he wanted to, there must have been like an old water access there or a little pond area or something that when his cattle were going through, it was a place that he could, you know, still have cattle if he needed to get them on and off. That's kind of what I've heard. I've also heard that at one time he planned on putting a sign there, like welcome to the neighborhood, kind of a little thing. So I don't know for sure. That was the two things that I was able to find.
So under the state statute on existing lots of record, any lot of record existing at the effective date of this title, June 17th, 1975, and you can stop there. When was this existing lot created?
There is no
83?
existing lot.
It is. There's a piece of ground there. So
yeah.
The bigger lot that it came out of, when was that created?
Well, it was the Ray Placer, so who knows when? Way before.
So you're saying that was there before it got cut off by those roads? Because that's what it would be. It'd be that, that
the
portion
Ray
of that
Placer
lying on
was
the other
there.
side of those roads.
Yeah, the Ray Placer was there, and then they took lots 1, 2, and 3, which was a portion.
But they're on the other side of the road.
But there was still a little portion left. So that's where I'm kind of at a quandary. I don't quite know how to take this one because of the convergence of the roads.
There's two major too, right? Right.
Yeah.
But it was there a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I understand Commissioner Flanagan's point, I think, but I would suggest that the remnant was created when the other lots were platted, which was after that 75 date at the 87 date. On the preliminary plat, I have some technical concerns. They're showing 40-foot contours, and if you go to the aerial photography that you had on one of your exhibits, they've done some grading on lot 10, and that grading is not shown, which would affect contours. Secondly, I don't see the gravel surfaces of 2-bit and or Legacy. So are they gravelled?
Yes.
But it's not shown on the on
If
the
we
document.
decide
this isn't an existing lot, none of that.
Yeah, well, let me finish, please. And then if we approve this, will the dedicated public right-of-way be deeded to the county, or who is handling that right-of-way? Is there a road district there, or what's the situation? Is that on the county system?
A portion of 2-bit is, and then Legacy, do they have a road district? I don't know if they do. Because this is a combined, you have 2-bit comes off here, so a portion of this is 2-bit, which is,
I get it.
and then a portion is Legacy, which I don't think is a county road. Well, I know it's not a county road, but.
And so you're not recommending a rezone on this because of the acreage or density?
Yeah, it wouldn't fit out there.
Okay, thank you.
So ultimately, if you approve the plat, that's one thing. You can plat the property. That's not the issue. It's can I issue a building permit on it later on? That's the question. I guess we don't know what that means.
Well, I would move to continue this to our next meeting to see corrections made on the preliminary plat and more information about the water and sewer specifics, because we don't know what infrastructure is available for this size of density of lot.
Okay. So for the sewer, I think we could get that from Helene. Has she done that? Because she did the design already, right?
But she can't without a.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and I'm okay with having a cistern. I hope we lived my whole life as kids with the we haul water.
That's up to you guys.
And also in that motion is to have conclusion from legal counsel on the chronological order of this being an existing lot or no?
I don't think it is.
Okay, thank you. We
I
have that
understand
part.
Commissioner
I removed that
Flanagan's-
from my
I
motion
understand
then.
Commissioner Flanagan's point of view about it. Something existing at the time of zoning, but I think it's been replatted a number of times. That was my first thought is does this remnant count as what was there originally? But it's been combined and replatted a number of times. So I think the original one building right that would have been there has long since been exhausted. That was kind of my analysis.
I'll rescind my motion.
I'll move to deny the plat.
What did you say, Eric?
I move to deny the plat. Follow staff recommendations and deny the plat.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Go ahead.
I
Commissioner Flanagan.
don't think we have grounds to deny the plat. I think we have grounds to deny a building permit. Although the technical stuff Commissioner Diver brought up, the contours and some other things may need to be adjusted to actually make the preliminary follow correctly, but I can't vote to deny the plat. I could vote to, I'm still up in the air on whether or not you can build on it or not.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's a fair point. Is it can be platted, but then the question I think comes, what can you do with it once it's platted?
Yeah.
And so the expectation is known up front that you may have it platted, but you might not be able to do anything. So I think it's a fair
Throw a
analysis.
camper on it or a
Right.
shed, maybe.
Probably should
Commissioner
have
Diver,
done it years ago.
Well, the beauty of platting it is now it can be dealt with. Without platting it, we have this remnant hanging over us indefinitely. But the plat, the way it's presented, infers the residential improvement on it, which I don't think it could be a sign or something like that, or a well lot or some utility lot. But so I have reservations about approving the plat. Secondly, legal counsel, do we have to have a specific reason for denial?
I think you do. And, in the past, we would talk, as an example, you put on no residential building rights. And so I think as Amber and I were discussing, that was one thing that we talked about was if you approved the plat, at least at this time you would put on there, you would require that say no residential building right. So that would be very, very clear. Of course, maybe you want to wait and see what you can do in terms of water and sewer as well. I don't know what that factors into your consideration as well.
But this was not presented with those caveats by the applicant.
No, that's staff.
Okay.
Is that fair, Amber?
Yes.
Okay. We're back to the original motion to deny. We have a motion and a second on it. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Maybe we better do a roll call, Brenda.
Clarification, it's on both the preliminary and the final in your motion.
No, you can't, well, I don't know.
Was your denial for both?
Yes, I guess it probably would.
It's probably just for the preliminary.
I guess I would say
We don't pass
preliminary.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Just for preliminary.
Preliminary. Okay.
Preliminary.
Okay.
Preliminary, yeah.
Okay.
And so an I vote is for denial, so it's kind of in the negative, right?
Yeah.
Aye, because it's missing some information.
Nyberg,
Aye.
Sleep,
Aye.
Aye.
Ewing,
Aye. Okay, thank you. All right. Moving on.
So motion has been to deny the preliminary as submitted. So I'm gonna get this question, we're still right back to it. If he fixes the things on the plat, like adds a no building right, changes the grading, drainage, all of that stuff, and submits it with the correct things. Ultimately, my question still stands. I need to give a recommendation on a building permit that I have in my office, that I have not done anything with yet, because I was waiting to see what happened with this plat. So at this point, I would have to recommend a denial of the building permit, and then Mr. Schultes would have the option to appeal that decision if he chose to back to you guys. Is that, I'm just making sure that that's what I'm following, because if I don't have a plat to utilize, I don't think I can issue the building.
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
Unless and until it's platted.
Commissioner David.
Does this automatically stop the final plat from moving forward?
Yeah, because
We don't need any action on it.
I don't think so, because it'd be based off of this plat.
Well, I would suggest that the applicant could reapply on the preliminary plat and maybe set out what they're really trying to do and whether they want a building right or not. and resolve the issues, they could just reapply. I mean, this has been
Okay.
denied.
Okay, I just want to make sure that, because I know Mr. Schulte is going to be in my office and we're going to want to.
Because if this was platted as right of way or a non-building lot for transfer only, that's a different discussion than what we had today.
Okay, that's what I needed to know.
Commissioner Flanagan.
Just for clarification, if I owned this lot and I wanted to put a camper pad on there, no utility, no sewer or water, but I wanted to put a gravel pad down, throw camp on there, or a shed with no water or sewer power in it, that's non-residential. That would be allowed if this were platted. Is that?
Certainly the camper, I think, is okay. The question about the shed would be whether you need the building.
Well, you need a building permit.
Sure,
It's not the
but it's
building
not
permit, it's the
residential.
residential
If you're
side
doing a
of
storage
it.
of it.
Yeah.
But
Either
I just want to go
residential.
back to clarification. I mean, this is not an unusable lot.
No.
You just can't build it at the direction that we're heading. It may not be for residential development.
That's fair.
Well, I would submit that you could put a camper out there today.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's your property.
Yes. Anything that's not
Without adding
You
a
don't need a
sewer,
building
without
permit
adding
for
a
it.
sewer
Yep.
system or putting a well on it.
Yeah, can't permit it.
Land-use development. Is that our next one?
I had Brighter Day. Brighter Day subdivision, Sean Brodigan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So this one is a lot line change. And so if you remember, we had actually talked to you about this one, I think, maybe a couple months ago. This is the one that, as we were going through the process with a building permit, we found, this is way up off of Brighter Day Place. There is a huge shop up here that was permitted as a shop, but in the midst of sales to a new owner, which is Sean, he came in and was talking about how he could deal with the building permit, and come to find out the inside of that shop was fully furnished. It's a 5-bedroom house with a big, and it's a huge building. But it's in there, it's finished, so we went back, did inspections on it, got it all dealt with. And as part of that, he decided to purchase the lot next door, which has a big shop on it as well. So he's replatting these where now he has a house and the shop, and then there's a little guest house in here. And it kind of cleans up all of it, so the structures are all on one lot. And then he's not sure what he's going to do with the remainder of this, but he's just moving this lot line. It used to go right here. Now he's moving it over so that the existing shop that's on the other lot now is with his lot, if that makes sense. So we're just moving it around. It cleans up everything. We did go back and permit everything correctly, so it's all brought up to date, and Sean did that on his own. He didn't realize what he had kind of purchased when he purchased everything, kind of had a hassle that he purchased, but we fixed it. Everything's brought in compliance now.
Okay.
So it's a lot line change. It's just moving the lot line over.
So exempt.
Yes.
Motion to declare it exempt.
Yes.
Okay, I'll second that. All those in favor of the motion for exempt, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Revision.
Okay, and then we have a preliminary and final.
Amber, I have a question for staff, if I might.
Go ahead.
Where's the driveway going to the residence?
It's, you go up this way, and then it's right here, gravel driveway, right here.
Okay, thank you. And there's power, water, and sewer?
Everything's there. Well, there's septic and a well. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
There's your drain field over here.
Water main located in the road, that's why I was confused.
Yep.
Okay, what's your pleasure on the, go ahead. I cannot make a motion.
Approve the lot line change.
Okay,
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Preliminary and final in the motion? Was it?
Motion.
Okay.
Okay, so we're done with that one?
Okay.
That's this one.
Which one are you on? Back here.
Trail side.
No, that's the one that you guys just denied. That one is up the reclassers.
Well, what did I do here?
This one he has to reprint. So, yep.
Leave it alone.
That one, nope, that one denied. This one denied. This one you need to sign.
That's what we just did.
I think I better go through those again.
I was trying to stay ahead.
And then sign that one.
We needed a break anyway.
Now we're to that one.
All right.
Good job. All right. So this one.
Black Hills today.
So this one, if you remember, we saw this once, then they didn't like it. Now we're replatting it again. So the last one, you approved it with a different lot configuration. We went to record it and they said, no, that's not really what we wanted. So they replatted again. It's the same lot. It's just in a different shape. But ultimately, it's the stuff right along the highway. This is set aside for commercial development of some sort. They're just doing block 13. I would bet we'll probably see some lot breakout in there, kind of a boundary plat here, and then once they figure out what they're going to do with it.
Mr. Flanagan.
I've got an issue with the existing easement in the middle of this track. The distance between their two accesses is 680 feet, and then they've got an existing one in the middle, which is not going to meet site distance.
That's all existing roads as
It
they
is
are
all
right
existing
now, yeah.
roads, but this might be a time to get that cleared out. I don't know when else we can, because they've changed that all. That probably should have been abandoned when they were doing the development behind it.
Commissioner Lever.
So along that discussion, do we know the document number 2005-4348, whether that's a public access easement or private access easement?
Exactly what it says is what it says.
It doesn't say.
It says access easement.
It does.
That's
the way it was platted in 5.
That's what it said on the original.
Okay.
So
if it's deemed private, they could vacate it. If it's not dedicated public, it would be private. So I think we should look into that. Furthermore, are they dedicating the 10-foot utility easement there on this plat, or is it existing? The one right above the 66-foot?
I think that's interesting, but Lauren's not here to answer that question, so. And I don't know.
Is there any utilities built in that corridor? Do we
I have
know?
no idea.
But I think some of my issue can be addressed at the development plan stage if they're looking at doing commercial on this, because I don't see giving them a third access or allowing them to open up that other access when those two roads on the ends are.
John, do you have anything to add there? I know this was one we kind of talked about a little bit. This is the one that they have the Black Forest Road, and then this was the old access to the gravel pit, which was there. You know, I mean, it was that existing little gravel pit area. It was right in the middle, but then they've added this access, which originally was not there.
There are utilities in there.
Yeah.
And, right now it's still their staging area for all of their construction on their whole development. So I have no idea what they plan to do. There's several approaches in and out of there right now. There's an approach in there off of the Black Forest Road.
Yeah, you have one
Kind
here.
of a free for all right now.
But they're not shown.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Gravel. This is
There's
Black Forest entry already there.
Right. Where's the one coming off Black Forest?
It's right at the end of it. It's
Right
just
here.
at the end.
Where my cursor is.
But there's no approach there shown on this drawing. What?
That
Is there an
the
approach there?
Right there. This is
If
Black
you
Forest.
drive in on Black Forest, you
Black
just
Forest
dump
Road.
right into that. So
Okay.
as far as it legit access, I guess, I don't know. But you just drive in, when you drive in on Black Forest, you're in that lot.
See, they're not showing the gravel, which would show us.
Yeah, this is the parking.
They're showing the right of way, but not the gravel.
It's an
I
existing
see a road. I don't
66
know what,
foot
I don't
Black
know what
Forest
gravel is
road.
supposed to look like on this plot. There's no road showing, it's just the right of way. That's my point.
Okay. Mr. Plazer.
So what was this before?
What was it before?
I would move to deny the preliminary plat because it doesn't show the paving section on Rochford Road or the gravel section on Black Forest Road, which is required in the preliminary plat process.
I'll second it. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
I'm not sure that I agree with that analysis, but we'll take the vote.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Looks like it was unanimous.
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
Opposed? Aye.
opposed.
Yeah, I'll help you out.
Okay.
Sign this one.
Don't sign that one. Right. All right, so now we're to here.
How do I, well, I know
Letter
what you're
of
saying,
credit.
but I don't understand. That's just,
The Nemo Mountain Cottages got pulled. I think that one was still on your agenda. It got pulled. I got it yesterday. They need to go back and.
That's item 11.
I think it was your 11, yeah.
yeah, I was looking in here. I'm
Yep.
like,
Nope, it wasn't there. All right, so then I think we're to the letter of credit stuff.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna start with Apple Springs letter of credit. So, okay. This came about, Mike Short thought he would be done, so he did not renew the letter of credit. It was really close, it just wasn't quite there. They're almost done, but he just, with construction and how stuff goes, it just wasn't able to get it done. So the letter of credit expired September 5th. And we couldn't get it before you in time because he thought it would be done. So we did go back and they extended, we talked to Black Hills Community Bank, they went ahead and extended his letter of credit. So just for safety wise and everything, we felt it was best to just sign a new one. So we have it in effect. He's still planning on being done by the end of October at this point, but they did extend it to March 6th of 2024, just in case with everything. So it's basically the same one that we had before. It's
we need
just
to ratify
extended.
this.
Yeah, I think Bruce wanted to re-sign it just to be safe, right? Isn't that kind of
I
what
don't
we
think you have
talked
to
about?
sign it, but to the original agreement, I think remains in place. Just note that this new bond.
Yeah, we had the original memorandum of agreement. That's still fine. It was just making sure we had that extension through the bank.
Move to authorize the chairman to sign the letter of credit.
The extension. Or do we just acknowledge that we have
It's
the
just a
extension?
new, they did it as a brand new one. So it's
Oh,
not
so we
even
do need to sign it.
extended, they just did a new
So
letter
then
of
we do
credit.
need to sign it.
Yeah, it's got a blank on it.
Accept
Yep,
Well, no, I don't think you signed the letter of
not
credit
the letter of credit.
unless and until you want to try to take the money.
It says slating I, the undersigned and authorized representative Lawrence County Commission has failed to pay, so we don't sign it till that time.
Correct,
Thank
if
you.
we need to pull it.
Do you need to accept it?
We could accept it.
I'll modify my motion to accept the letter of credit.
I think, Mr. Chairman, I think it goes to the sufficiency of the bond again, and I think it's the same amount as it was before.
Okay.
Just looking at extended time frame.
We have a second.
Second discussion.
Okay, go ahead.
You're happy with this, Bruce?
Yes.
You're fine.
Just cleans it up.
Okay. I have a motion and a second for approval of signature. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
Aye.
carried.
Nay,
Opposed? Yeah.
Transfer of Maya Joe's bed and breakfast.
Yep, so this one, basically, Maya Joe's is an existing, it's been out there for, I think since, it was CUP 192, so if that gives you any idea, we're in like 400 some now, so it's been there a long time. This is at the top of Strawberry Hill. It's been a bed and breakfast off and on for the years. It's been transferred a couple different times to different landowners. it did go up for sale, and as part of that sale, we had requested, like we normally do as part of the, restrictions, that they make sure the new owners come to the county commission meeting, meet you guys so you know who you're dealing with. And then you can choose to basically just transfer that existing CUP to the new owners. The new owners and I have had some discussions, and I think they're aware that they're taking it on as it is. If they want to make any changes to it, which I know they do want to make some changes in the future, they would have to come back before you, obviously, to deal with those changes. But for now, they just want to get it transferred so they can finish the sale.
Commissioner Diver.
Staff recommendation,
Recommend approval of the transfer.
council.
Yes.
I'll move to approve the transfer as presented.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the transfer. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And I would like everybody, so new owners, right?
Yep.
I'm assuming
Nathan.
they're here, they came to the meeting
Right.
just so you knew.
All right.
to put a face.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So everything's good to go then, and then we can deal with the rest of it as you guys figure out what you want to do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
She was very worried.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be excusing myself for the next 2 items. Several of them.
102.
Okay, so we're gonna go backwards here.
For the record, Commissioner Dyer recusing himself.
Yes.
Next two matters.
Okay,
He's listening online.
so I'm gonna talk about the plat and the letter of credit stuff, just so it's all kind of lumped together, but the way that you need to approve it is you have to approve the memorandum of agreement, then approve the letter of credit, and then you can look at the plat. So that's kind of the hierarchy of what we have going on here. The overall plat is a revision, so it's a revised, we did a revised preliminary, which you guys have approved. And this just, if you remember, we went through that preliminary, it had some changes to some roads and some few distinct lots. This matches the preliminary that you already approved, so there's no changes from that preliminary that you approved. It's just showing the final lots all on one big piece, which is what we like to see. At the Planning and Zoning and County Commission both, I guess when you guys reviewed the preliminary, there was some discussion on, water usage and the septic. Is it going to be some joint drain fields, or kind of what was going to go on? And Mr. Keating was here at that time and kind of assured you that they would take all of those into account as the design part happens. I did receive another email from him that basically just said that they are working on kind of combining some different things and having joint drain field instead of individual, because I know that got brought up at the last meeting. With that, they were hoping to have all the construction done, but just like everything, construction has been a little interesting the last couple of years. We're trying to find people and get everything done. They have decided to put a bond up for this, which is why you have the memorandum of agreement, which does include all of the information that we'd asked for. So we have the memorandum of agreement is in here. It's, I would say, normal procedure. It's how most of our memorandum of agreements lay out. There's nothing really new in here. Talks about that they're calling out what needs to be done for the engineered roads, water lines, and related improvements. And then it'll be $1,881,135. And we set that aside with the surety. And then we usually have a 15% contingency in there, just because we never know with everything going on. So this is the memorandum. And then you have which was what we require, your engineer's opinion of probable cost. And that, we always make sure that number matches the memorandum. It does, it's the same. And then we have all of the costs and stuff laid out in here of what's left to be done. And then we also have a letter of credit that Bruce and I have looked at, and again, it matches the overall amount that we need.
Estimate plus 50%.
Your estimate and everything. So everything's in there. Obviously, the original, I didn't get yet. We haven't received the original yet. I know the bank said they were sending it, but I haven't seen it yet. So we would fill in the effective date, the dates needed, because we didn't know for sure if you were going to approve this today or not. And then we would probably just want a motion for the chairman to sign the memorandum, right? Isn't that how we do it?
Correct. Yes, and then it would be contingent upon receiving the original and letter of credit for file. And I think I think Roger Chalmers is online as well if you have any questions. You can't see him. But
Commissioner Flag.
Have you had the chance to review all the documents, Bruce?
yes,
Are you comfortable with them?
yes, I looked at them last.
Amber, have you had a chance to go through the thing?
Nope, because I was gone, so Bruce did it.
It
If Bruce
appears,
is comfortable.
well, the numbers are the end of the thing and the reliability of the bank's letter of credit. We've done these enough times. We rely on the engineer's estimate and the bank, and we've had success with this. I guess I don't see anything that surprises me or is out of the norm. I'll have a discussion about the septic after we approve this part, but I'll make a motion to allow the chairman to sign the memorandum of agreement and accept the letter of credit contingent upon the original documents and filling in the dates.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carried.
All right, so then you're to the plat. So we have the bond in place
Yep.
now, so now you can actually approve the plat if you want to. That's your guys'
Commissioner
call.
Flag.
Planning and zoning's already seen this, right?
Yes.
And what was their recommendation?
They recommended approval, and I don't think there was any conditions on it. Let me double check. No, it was substantially matched the preliminary plat. And then they did condition it with the commissioner's approval of the bond associated with the final, being this
Sure.
like we normally do.
Okay. My only comment, the discussion that's come up is with the septic system, and just to make everybody aware, I know for a fact that there's an issue at Gilded Mountain with the joint septic with the drain fields. And what's happened is they're designed for houses, for residences, and they're all being used heavily as Airbnbs, and the septic tanks, the drain fields can't keep up.
Yep.
They're surfacing. And I'm sure this area is there'll be a lot of that kind of development up there, speculation and rental. Whoever's in charge of that part, you want to be very aware, or here in the next few years, you'll be tearing up ground and replacing drain fields and figuring out what to do. Because it was never anticipated to have the load that they're having up there, and it's bad. But with that, I will make a motion to follow planning and zoning's recommendation with their comments and staff. I would say the contingent is that all the documentation with the MOU and the letter of credit and the originals are all in place prior to this being filed.
Okay. Oh, and I think that goes along with kind of planning and zoning. Well, all of the members kind of had said, be prepared for creative ways to deal with, the more sustainable options for that gray water and all the different things that can go along with it. So it was brought up numerous times.
The use is just so much different than as a residence. It's just hard on a septic tank. People don't think about chlorine and stuff, and when they're washing laundry, that just kills them on top of everything else.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes. Okay. So I think the only thing we just need to finalize is the letter of credit needs to be updated with the actual dates, and then we need the original. So then other than that, we can get the final plat recorded as soon as I have that. Okay. All right, thanks guys.
We're down to the development. We're gonna take a quick break.
You don't have to. Just everyone know that you're on break, but the recording's still going at this point.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick break here again, so I'm gonna mute the mic and we'll be back soon. Thanks, Roger.
Hi, Bruce. We can't hear, or I can't hear.
There we go. So
Can you hear
then,
now?
Jackie, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
so then with that, we put together an agenda, made sure it was posted. A few people from the public were present. They showed up to listen to what had happened and what was discussed. Jennings and Vogt introduced the purpose of the meeting as well as the draft haul route agreements and the discussion. There was a lot of different discussion that took place as we went through those haul routes. There was exception to allowing straight trucks and not allowing combination vehicles. Guybrush suggested the pits do some minimal drive training, which would include a document to review and sign when hauling in and out of the pits. Turgeon stated the safety of the roads, but routes and bike traffic should all be looked at. And then as it continued, as we went through the document, we discussed the proposed surcharge of 25 cents. And John Bay was able to kind of break that down of what that would actually mean, you know, for out of each pit. It cost the county about, I think I have that right, 8,000 a mile. Isn't that what you had said?
That's correct.
For the mile, for magnesium, and that's just the county's cost of putting that magnesium on the road. So obviously, the original 5 cents that we were collecting does not cover costs anymore. Costs continue to go up. And there was some back and forth on, you know, what that means and how that money is going to be collected. There was some different options thrown out there from Kroll, and both Kroll and Polich had some different options that they threw out there for you. Kroll suggested that 10 cents per ton surcharge or a bond with no tonnage fee, and Polich suggested a 15-cent ton per surcharge to kind of meet in the middle from the 5 cents to the 25 cents. That was kind of the in between, and then obviously after maybe we had a year or so of kind of what actual costs ended up being, it could be renegotiated if need be. Weight limits and the bridge inspections were all kind of lumped together because at our meeting we didn't have all the information that John has provided to you since then. We didn't have that information in time. We knew the inspections were coming, but it wasn't quite there. So I think he probably reviewed that stuff with you guys earlier. There was lots of discussion on speed limits and signage for all the roads and kind of what could work and what maybe needs to be done. A suggestion of 25 miles per hour for all traffic, and then maybe some additional traffic stops throughout the area at different intersections. John Bay would obviously want to review that with the county commission and as part of the haul route agreement for safety factors. There was a lot of discussion on jake brakes and straight pipes. I think when it came down to it, that's a hard thing to really deal with ultimately, but it is something that as part of the driver operation plan that was suggested to be done, they could include that in talking to their drivers coming in and out about the proper way to deal with those issues. And then entry points, increased traffic and weights. That would be something that I think as part of the haul route, or not the haul route, the development of those entry points in and out of those developments, John would have to say, this is what you need to do for the entry. So overall, that was kind of a summary of what was discussed. And at that point, we then Bruce and I worked with the 2 applicants to get a driver orientation checklist. And that's basically what, as the drivers are coming in and out, they would have something that they would have to review and look at. And that was put together by North Star. And then we used the information that we all talked about to create the haul route. So I think everything that we kind of discussed, there's a piece of it, the proposed haul route for the most part. And then the dust control plan, we utilized that and had them add a few things in there to kind of help maybe clarify some of the entry points and the dust control within the actual property. The roads within the property was the biggest part that we added into it. So I think all of the pieces kind of came together based off of the task force. I think the task force went really well. We had some good discussion. Not everybody agreed, but I think everybody had good discussion. So that's the summary,
I'm
I
gonna-
guess, to start the
I'm
discussion.
gonna allow the applicant, Matt's here, to add anything that he would like to add at this time.
No, I think that's very fair what Amber said about the task force. I thought it was beneficial for everybody to put their input in. I think we've made some concessions along the way. You know, I think we brought our tonnage down. I think that helps traffic safety, dust. You know, there's some things that we've done on our side. One thing I'd like to make sure that we are inclusive of all of the dust control, traffic control, plan of operations, all of that is included in our CUP. Is that correct? Every document we've put in there, that's something that we can hang our hat on to say we are following our dust control plan. I think that's very relevant. I want to make sure, because that point was brought up earlier to my attention, to make sure that we're good. I tried to make a compromise in relationship to the royalty. I guess I feel like anytime there's two sides, if you can shoot to the middle, I think that would maybe give us a year's worth of data. I think that's very fair. I think that was a fair attempt at a compromise. I guess I'd like to hear the commission's, you know, I'd like to be done with the process. We definitely went through planning and zoning. We've done good public. We've been out to the site. I think we've pretty much turned over every rock and looked at everything that we can look at in good conscience. I think the operation is what we proposed it to be, with some compromise along the way.
Okay.
So.
As a housekeeping matter, I think we had the recording turned off for a little bit there, but I just wanted to note for anybody that's listening online that although we're only talking about 484 now, CUP 487 was continued until October 24. That makes any difference for anybody listening in. Thank you.
Okay.
Couple of technical questions. Do I have the most recent finding of facts? Because the one I looked at on the drive yesterday talked about taxes. Do you remember that?
Yeah, you do. And that's paragraph 16. I think that's included in both. And it was a reference, I think you pointed out, that excise tax.
Okay, yeah. So item 16, the extraction of sale of rock, sand, and gravel from the proposed quarry will generate sales and excise tax revenue to the state. Local governments get none of that. There's no city involvement, so
we
would want to.
Corrected in both, and we will.
Okay.
We won't get any more changes from today, but yes.
And then on the Hall Road agreement I have, and I'm just the typos and things out of the way. The second paragraph on the second page, it refers to the Larson Family LLP, and this is the one for GF Development, so that just needs to be replaced with GF Development.
I looked at that so many
And
times.
I understand how that would happen, but that's the last one in there. So those are just punks or
A couple of times it was referenced as 487 as well.
Yes.
And so I threw those
think
at
we
you in an
updated
email.
Yeah, I think that's the only one we missed.
You're on which page?
Second page, second pair right there, Amber, right by the 25 cents. Right there.
I'm thinking I maybe already did it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I see
mine's
GF
changed.
Development.
Mine's
both of
changed,
them.
okay.
Okay.
All
I
right,
thought I had
All
updated
right.
it, but
I know what you tried.
Okay, all right, thank you. So those are the only two corrections or edits that I saw.
The findings and facts, you just to update that, I just sent you some editable ones this morning.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I think that would help with any of those clerical.
Yes, thank you. And ultimately,
Thank you,
if I-
Mr. Chairman.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, with respect to the final version of the findings of fact, when you do, if and when you do approve them, we would change that to authorize the chairman to sign. So normally a judge signs findings of fact, conclusions of law. You would sign it as the chairman. Of course, that represents your rationale for your decision making. If that makes sense.
Well, I'm just gonna jump into this on that 25 cents a ton. I kind of agree with,
are you in the Hall Road?
Yeah,
Which document? Okay.
on the Hall Road one.
Okay, thank you.
I personally would be willing to support 15 cents for the first year, just to kind of see where we're at and how it all works out, rather than the 25.
You're gonna have a year review
The annual
anyways.
review will come up, yeah.
Yes.
So I just thought I'd throw that out.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I remember correctly, I think Matt was proposing 15 cents.
Yeah.
That's what I
addition,
said.
okay. As opposed to 25.
I think the only other hangup that we had, or was the driver's orientation safety. I think Kroll put theirs up, which is very similar to what we've got. We have site specific, so I think it may be down to the last two.
Commissioner Flanagan.
I'm looking at the haul road agreement on the drive, and there's some highlighted stuff. Is there?
Under the operation, is that the one?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that was, it was kind of left to whether or not you're comfortable with. So what we ended up doing on that one is, those were notations for us during the meeting. And we wanted you to have an idea of behind it. You can either leave the wording in there, but what we did is we added under their dust control plan. I can tell you specifically. Yep, if you look at page 8 and 9, we have the red writing. So that's kind of what that's referring to, is they wanted some wording on that. If you can leave it, or we can take it out, because we did update it in the dust control plan, which is the internal roads kind of detail.
So we are right now before us. Well, you've got the haul road agreement, dust control plan, driver safety training plan, and the final versions of finding it back. That's what we're going on.
I think so.
And you can see on your notation the second line. It said staff's suggestion is that we add this to the existing plans.
Right, and that's why I say.
So we can remove the language if you're comfortable with us adding them, which we did.
Mr. Nybert.
Well, in our committee, we talked about several items. We talked about speed limits, signage plan, the external road dust control plan, in other words, from the scale to the highway. We talked about haul, the broke my concentration.
Yeah, sorry.
The not having the double dump trucks, but allowing pups, and whether we wanted a road limit or not. And we didn't have a lot of decisions made there because we didn't have the bridge inspections. So there's a lot of items that aren't in here that we talked about.
If you look at the dust control plan, that's where we kind of put those
Well,
items.
apparently none of that is in my package.
So it was. So this is the document.
It wasn't in the package that arrived from me, so I don't have that. May I see it, please?
I don't send you stuff because it's on the drive. Just so you know.
I would note that I think that the 2 bridges were inspected, as I understand that they support legal limits. There was a third structure that has been in the past been inspected, and that also supports legal limits. So that is an update as well.
Yep. And one other item is we talked about whether we wanted to reconfigure the T at Homestake where it goes to the bench. So those were the items. Did I get them all, Commissioner Jennings? Okay.
I'll just say anything on the county road, in my mind, is external to this, with the exception of the fee to use the county. Well, I hate to word it that way. The per tonnage fee to contribute toward maintenance and dust control on the county road. Signage would be solely up to us and the highway superintendent. Restructuring of any intersection would be solely up to us and the highway superintendent. So I think they're important things to have noted and to talk about, but I don't think they have a part of this haul agreement that we're looking at, especially pit specific. But it might be something to make them aware of, which I think it was. With that, I'm going to ask council, did you see any issues that weren't addressed or that were? It sounds like there was good discussion and some compromise kind of around.
I think there was. I don't. Again, I think as Mr. Geiger brings up, there was. I think you mentioned the teeing off of the one intersection. I don't know if that's germane to your discussion here today, or if that's something that takes care of itself in the future when it's deemed appropriate, right? I don't know of anything else. I would point out I did have a brief conversation with Matt out in the hallway about the possibility of delaying the decision making on this until October 24th, so it would coincide with the other one. Of course, that delay is, he didn't do anything to cause that delay, but I did have that discussion with him. And so I bring that up in the mix as well, the context. I don't know if you resolved all of your issues today.
Well, I can, the big concerns I had was traffic going left. That was really Hall Road specific, what we were gonna generate to help offset impact County Road. The handful of other things with speed limits and some of those things are again county specific, but Mr. Bay had got a hold of me before the meeting and asked if I had specific concerns. And from what I've seen on this document, they've hit the ones that I'm concerned with. So I'm going to make a motion to approve all of these documents and then change the 25 cent a ton surcharge to 15. And then you might edit out that staff would prefer to see their existing plans line on there. The other lines you can either leave in or take out. It's a little redundant. We probably
I
should
would
just
like
leave
it
it
to be,
in.
well, I'd like it to be removed because
Okay,
we
so-
specifically say, so what will happen if you guys want it to, is you have the haul route agreement. This document here is gonna become exhibit 2. This is exhibit 2. It'll be a part of this as
Right.
exhibit 2.
That's
And
the
then,
control plan.
and then the driver orientation plan, which is the 1-page document that they're suggesting would be what they sign, that would also become a part of exhibit 2, which would then make the yellow writing be
Okay,
removed.
so pull all the yellow writing out and then change the yellow writing that says 25 cents to 15 cents. And just to make clear with my motion, all of these exhibits then are part of the conditional use permit and are subject to be reviewed annually. And that's, I believe, is what you had said. That's what, it's not a thing where it's like, well, yeah, they agreed with that, so now we're done with it. Well, if there's violations, it comes up on the review.
Okay, Commissioner, well, we got a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second it so we can have further discussion. Commissioner Diver.
Well, first of all, I believe the 25 cents is appropriate, not the 15 cent. Also for the first year, and then we review it and lower it. I'm going the opposite because we're going to have some initial charges that we're doing, including the bridge inspections and other items. And so I think that's appropriate. Second of all, on the driver orientation, if it's part of this, I would edit no unmuffled Jake brakes to no unmuffled exhausts. And then I would like to know, I don't see it on here, are we going to restrict the double dumps or have a weight limit?
Exception is straight trucks are allowed to travel east on Homestake Road when delivering to the local areas. No combination vehicles are allowed east of the Larson.
What about west?
East of the Larson pit is what the recommendation was.
So we talked about in our meeting of putting load limits out there to cover the pups, but not the double dumps. And that's my recollection. So I'm not going to support the motion until I have details on those items.
Sure. If I made a motion in the second, if there is a vote and you agree on it, that would, in my mind, conclude the consideration of this matter. And then it goes on to whatever happens next. So just so we're all clear on that, that would be the last time you hear about this until they end a review.
So, man, Mr. Chairman, I just have a question.
Go ahead.
As the applicant, wouldn't you want to know what load limits we're going to put out there?
I believe it was per legal limits, or I think the question was, what are the bridges going to do? We kind of felt like in that meeting, the bridges were going to dictate our loads. I think there was some conversation about, 120,000, 128,000,
But you would want to know that.
I think legal limits are legal limit. That's where I sit, I guess.
And I would
Commissioner
agree
Jennings.
with that.
So I just, a couple of things here. First of all, just commend the staff for being able to capture everything we talked about at that task force meeting. It was, I think it's important to remember that meeting is not about negotiation. It's just about getting a sense of where we were all at. We threw out some ideas from the commission of what's going to be appropriate, but ultimately, those are all just stipulations that end up on a conditional use permit, and that's what we're seeing in the documentation. So we did talk about, we didn't have a lot of discussion on the legal limits, on the weight limits, because the bridges were going to dictate that, and so we didn't feel the need to go into a lengthy discussion, not knowing what the bridges would be. Now we know that the bridges are good for legal limits. I still have a concern over the double semis. I don't have a concern over the pups.
where I'm at is 125,000 gross vehicle weight, because that allows a triple axle truck and trailer and a pup, but it does not allow the larger double semis that I think that are going to be a concern on that road. As far as the surcharge goes, I'm at 25 cents per ton because I don't want to put the county behind on funds. I'd rather start out high. If we don't need those funds for the road mitigation, then we can always lower them. But I don't want the county to be on a negative point going into the second year.
Well, just we'll call a vote and get this over with. So we can.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Would the motion, the person that presented the motion, consider a couple revisions to 125K and 25 cents or not?
The 125K will absolutely, the 25 cents I'm still debating on.
Well, and the
I'll say yes.
Okay, so if the motion included the 125K and 25 cents, do we need to change this document, which that bullet is confusing, it's contradictory, to no unmuffled exhausts, or strike it completely out of the document?
Strike it out.
I think the motion had modified language, not a strikeout, right? So you're proposing now something different, just remove it.
And just to speak to the 25 cents, our initial effort on the county side will be just like their mobilization fee. In the first year, they're going to produce, we don't know what that's going to be. So if we can look at this, if we get enough money, they could come in any time and ask for that to be lowered. They don't have to wait the full year once we know what those expenses are. And I just wanted to point that out. And on the 125,000 load limit, if they would get a contract that required that, they could come in and ask for a short-term change on that too. They have that ability. That's why the CUP works. So I think the 125, if that's in the motion, the 25 cents, then the only item I have is whether we have this in.
And there's a second to that amended motion?
I haven't heard the
He
amended
hasn't
motion.
made the motion yet or amended it. Commissioner Leslie.
I was just gonna ask Brandon, did you put 25 cents or 15? I think you talked about both.
Well, his original motion was 15 cents.
That's what I thought, but did he change it or not?
I haven't done anything yet. We're waiting to discuss this. I'll let you know as soon as I do.
So, are we discussing the unmuffled Jake brakes?
Yes.
The task force specifically addressed the Jake brake piece. I don't know that I guess I'm a little more on the fence about just unmuffled exhaust. But it gets harder to enforce. And so I would like to stick with just unmuffled Jake brake or exhaust brake pieces, so it should be.
Exhaust braking.
I would agree with that.
Engine braking, whatever they call it.
So is it no unmuffled exhaust brakes? Is that what you're
Right,
saying?
yeah.
And rather than Jake?
Right.
Is that the word? Okay, I amend my motion in 3 places. 25 cents, 125,000 ton,
Clarification.
and in that.
Well, before you do the tonnage, I guess I need to know where you're planning on putting that statement before we get too far ahead.
Well, it's coming out of the pit, and then we can sign the road.
But you can't change the conditions, so we can't add it as a condition. You've already done that.
Haul road.
I know.
Haul road agreement. They
Where-
cannot haul. Oh, I
Where
see.
do you
Which
want
part?
it in here?
Well, they have the Tail of Bay, in the agreement, they have the Tail of Bay County speed limits and weight limits. We're just putting the weight limit in the motion so that John knows what to post it at.
I thought we were posting the speed limit at 35, by the way.
30.
We haven't got there yet,
Well, she'd already said 25.
but we haven't got that in there.
Okay, so I'm gonna back up. You have a haul route. Speed limits, you can do whatever you want with speed limits. It's not gonna be attached to the haul route. It shouldn't be, because that's for all trucks. It's not
She
just
wants to
for
know
this
where
haul
in the
route.
document should
Where
she
in the
put the
document
weight
do
limit.
you want the weight limit? Because there is nothing in here about weight limit.
Commissioner Jennings.
I guess I will question legal counsel or anybody else that knows a lot more than I do. But, should that maybe be just a weight limit on the road instead of part of the haul road agreement?
Yes, I think
Yes.
if it passes, I think yes, then I think you directed the highway superintendent to post the road accordingly.
Okay, I still take issue with posting 125. Those trucks are gonna load at the pit to be legal on the rest of the roads in the community, the highways and such. So I have a little bit of trouble posting what they may be able to haul on a asphalt road to be less on the county road, so I struggle with that.
And I don't disagree with you as far as actual use on the road. My concern is the intersections that are on it and the distance that it takes for them to turn on the intersections.
Okay.
The turning radius, I should say.
I agree with Bob there. They got low limits on the roads already. Just well stick with them. Rather than add another one.
Okay, did you amend your original motion to add the 125 and the 25 cents and the unmuffled
Yes,
exhaust brake?
Amber's just trying to figure out where we're gonna put in the 125.
Because it doesn't make.
Yes, I
this-
understand.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of operation, it will say.
Okay.
The load limit shall be 125,000 pounds.
So
The very first thing. Just that, we'll put it there, and if we need to change it later, it's fine. It's not correct in the flow of the document, but it just needs to be plugged in somewhere. Then you're on notice. I mean, whether or not it's posted or not, and like you said, it'd be nice to know ahead of time what it's going to be. And
To me, it doesn't make a lot of difference for that fact that I'm not pulling doubles and doing
Sure.
the thing. The fact of the matter is, though, when that call comes up, we're gonna come right back in here and say, guys, I got a great customer. He's treated fair. It's Lawrence County. It's you or whoever that you need that much material in that location, which I think you would consider if you were hauling it somewhere long distance.
Sure.
So I need to amend my second. Is that what we're waiting on?
Yes.
I put the load limit shall be set at a maximum of 125,000.
Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would, if you do
To make it
get a
easier.
second this and it passes as is, my thinking is that you want a separate motion
That's right.
regarding
Yeah.
the load
How about
limits.
this? I rescind my motion.
Mhm.
I now I make a new motion with the stuff in it.
Oh,
And I second the
You
new
don't have to worry
motion with
about-
the stuff in it. So
Guess
there we
I'm
go.
out of the picture.
Now you just have to vote on it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Does everyone understand the motion?
Should we restate the motion?
Yeah, I'll restate the vote.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the haul road and operating agreement with 25 cents for all rock product hauled from GF Development
To be reviewed
to be
on the
reviewed
at the annual review.
yearly. An
Okay.
additional sentence under number 4, operation, the load limit shall be set at a maximum of 125,000 pounds. With the removal of the yellow highlighted areas and the change to add exhibit 2, which is the dust control plan submitted by Grouse Mountain Environmental Consultants with the addition of the red writing in there. And the exhibit 3 being the driver orientation plan with the change to no unmuffled exhaust brakes. You like that
And
motion?
and to allow the chairman to sign the final versions of the finding of fact.
Yes.
Edited, the edited,
Edited.
yeah, final one,
Thank you.
yep. Okay. That was
Is that
my
better for
second
you?
too. Thank you.
Did you say it clearly? Did you make
All
sure?
right.
I
It
got
takes a
it.
village.
Further discussion, Commissioner Sleep.
Yeah, tell me what you had to do with 125,000. How does that vary from what's now?
There's nothing in there now. They added it.
I think is that bigger or lower?
Well,
We
there
didn't
wasn't
have
anything in it.
anything. We didn't have
Well,
anything
that's
in there.
stipulated on there.
Well, we're not allowing the doubles, the big doubles. That's
Okay.
basically it.
Just
We're allowing
trains.
pups. We're allowing pups,
Okay.
but not the great big doubles.
All right.
That's basically
That
what it
makes
is.
a
That-
difference.
It is,
Eric,
yep. That was the intention.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? I still have a problem with 25 cents and I still have a problem with 125, so everyone knows the motion and the second, and everyone in favor of the motion will say aye, and I want to do a roll call.
Flanagan.
Aye.
Nyberg.
Aye.
Sleep.
Aye.
Jennings.
Aye.
Ewing.
But it passes.
So with that,
Then
it gets published and the process, the minutes get published. Yes, minutes get published, yes. Yeah, they talked about
We talked
And
about
I just
findings
want
of fact we got.
clarification why I voted no is because I would have still been more comfortable with the 15 cents for the first year. And I don't support the 125 because I think those trucks are gonna load legal to wherever they're going. So that was my two reasons that I didn't support it. Commissioner Seibert.
Well, and this is a question for the chairman and legal counsel and planning and zoning and Superintendent Day. We had some other items we talked about, which is including signage, tree removal, intersection improvements. Do we need to act on that or instruct the highway superintendent? And do those actions need to take place before we allow this travel?
No, I would recommend, well, of that list, I'd only recommend that you have a motion.
And the speed limit was in there too.
Or the weight limits, well, and the weight limits.
The speed limit and weight limits. So I would refer to Superintendent Bay on the speed limit discussion. Do you have a recommendation?
I thought we had recommended 35 because the Homestake Road already has two speed limits. It goes 45 to 35 back to 45. We talked about doing the whole thing at 35. So it was the same speed limit for all traffic on the road, not mixed speed limits.
And does that include Red Hill as well?
That would include Red Hill.
I would support that.
Okay. 35. So I would move to have the highway superintendent post a 25 or 35 mile an hour speed limit and 125 gross weight limit on the roads that impact the haul roads.
Okay.
Or do we need to have specific names of the roads we're putting it on?
Do you know, John, is it apparent to you the stretches where you'll have these signs, or should we have a more particular discussion?
Be all of Homestake Road, Lawrence County, and Red Hill Road to
the intersection. Okay, yes. That's fine. I amend my motion to include that.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Does everyone understand the motion?
The road limit on exit 2 is 45. So you're reducing it by 10 miles an hour.
That was the recommendation John had.
Okay. Everyone understands. Any further discussion?
Well, I would, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would point out that the discussion we had in our committee was not to have changes in the speed limit so it was easily posted, understood, and enforced. Those changes were difficult.
Have a consistent speed limit throughout the entire route.
That was our discussion.
All right.
They're going to change that.
Further discussion.
We're lowering that 35 throughout.
Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion before us will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, with that, then this matter is concluded. So the minutes will get, I think, published. Is it next Wednesday, roughly? I guess we're not in control of that, but it will then trigger whatever other steps others want to take. And to that end, I think Amber has a form that she goes out for people that get a CUP, right? And you would plan on issuing that form.
Correct.
I mean, that would be the final
Which would be
step,
the official date of action, I guess.
which would be today. Yeah, so that's the final step administratively, just to be really clear about all of it. So they can start. Yes. Well, they would start their own peril pending any kind of an appeal or a referendum, but theoretically, there is no further action for them to take. So.
Okay.
Can we take a 5-minute break?
Yep, we'll take a quick 5-minute break. Well, Bruce,
We're back live.
I know, before we do the natural resource, if you don't mind, Bill, I'd like to get the Deb Trital and the 11 o'clock executive session out of the way first.
Isn't that gonna take a while, potentially, or no?
They could.
All right, Bill, come on.
Clock's ticking, Bill. Snap, snap. I was gonna say, I'm out of here. That was
2 words away.
Well, I'm just trying to expedite
I
things
know.
here a little bit.
Me too.
All right. Have the floor, sir.
Well, there's several things we wanted to kind of talk about. The Camara project, there's a letter that our committee had worked on in response to the Northern Hills District and the Black Hills National Forest not even meeting with us to talk over our comments, even though we had gone down to the supervisor's office and asked him about it, and he said, yeah, sure. And then we talked to Steve Kozel, and yeah, well, we'll do that. And then they went ahead and signed the Camara project. We thought that was pretty disrespectful of the process and our cooperative agency agreements. And so we put the letter together. Ron and Sherry B did a nice job on a lot of it. So anyway, that has a lot to do with Camara and our MOU, our current MOU with the forest, not with the Northern Hills District. So it's time to renew that.
So we need a motion for me to sign these letters. Correct?
Yes.
Commissioner Diver.
Well, I would just say that before we approve these, that we increase the number of recipients to include Frank Bem, who's the regional forester, and Brian Farabee with the chief's office. And I think we should send a notice to each of the district rangers, because we're only getting contacted on the Northern Hills.
Yeah.
So they should know that we want to be contacted by them on.
I'd send it to the staff, to the congressional staff.
And then we would add our 3 congressmen to the list. Otherwise, I think the letter's fine.
Can you write all those down for me, please? Randy?
Yeah, I can.
Just one, I tried to have that done ahead of
Point of
time.
clarification, on the first paragraph here, you talk about NEPA projects. Time and notification of NEPA projects taken. I'm wondering if those if it could be better worded to be management activities requiring NEPA, because actually it's the management activities that we're concerned about. And those activities require NEPA.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, doesn't matter to me. I think any activities that the forest has to undertake requires some type of NEPA action.
Right.
Whether it's a management activity, it's a right-of-way activity, it's a whatever. And so we could limit it to management activities, but there might be some other stuff like the exclusion of certain areas to mining. That wouldn't be
require NEPA.
Yep.
But that's still an exclusion is not a management activity. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah. I mean, I would leave it described. Yeah.
Was that your motion, Randy?
Yeah, I would move to approve the letter as presented with the additional recipients, which I will supply to Bruce.
And the state forest.
All right, I'll second it for lack of any further discussion.
Right, just clarify the motion, so I'm authorizing the chairman to sign the Camara project and Spruce project comments. Is that
No.
separate? So 2 different motions.
This is a letter that we're proposing to be set. That'll be signed by the Lawrence County Commissioners. That doesn't have anything to, yes.
Yeah, so this letter, which is about not including the county.
Is it, this is the operating, or the
MOU.
The MOU, okay.
The overarching MOU.
So I have 2 documents to sign.
No,
No,
just one. So you have the Camara comments that you've been discussing, and when make those changes, and then separately, Bill, I think we'll next discuss the spruce comments that have already been submitted.
All right.
The deadline was last Saturday, and then there's some other things as well.
Okay, everyone understand the motion? All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And okay, Bill, the spruce.
Spruce project, it's one of those that we requested to be cooperative agency status, and they didn't recognize it. I don't even think, did they answer our email?
I haven't heard anything from anybody.
I mean, we sent an email to Steve
Oh,
about
way back
spruce.
when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he ever answer that?
I think he did. Remember, I read the email. I think he said he was going to share it with staff or
And
something.
nobody ever
No.
did follow up.
I think he did respond yes,
Okay.
but there was never any follow up after that.
Yeah. Okay. So we basically were somewhat ignored. I mean, Steve recognized that we asked for it, but no follow through to get us involved in it. So Spruce project went through. We did provide some comments for the draft, and they were sent in underneath the Morris County Natural Resource Committee. Forest planning registration. Love to have some guys or some reps from the county at our symposium next Tuesday. We haven't seen anybody register. Okay. The only thing we're concerned about is if the county or the federal government has a shutdown, then we're shut down. We will not be able to have a conference.
Okay,
Why not?
Because we have two speakers that are federal employees, and about a third of our attendants are federal employees, and they won't be there.
So they won't come even though they paid on their own time.
They're not allowed. Yes.
Bill, so I think you covered. So the spruce comments were submitted. They were due on Saturday. So I think Mitch submitted them. It was discussed at your last meeting that might happen with the timing of the county commission. So those have been submitted. So basically, you could make a motion to ratify those, but probably it's more just an informational item that your Natural Resources Committee did that on your behalf, right?
Yeah.
And then also, I think as part of the Forest Planning Symposium that Bill referenced, there was discussion at the last Natural Resources Committee meeting about whether or not the commission would be willing to pay I think it's $75 more than likely for a non-member registration fee for anybody from the Natural Resources Committee that's interested in going. I don't have a way to pay that now before October 3rd, so it would be a reimbursement issue, I think.
Okay.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to have the chairman request that a delegation from our Natural Resource Committee meet with the acting supervisor, Ivan Green, and ask for an audience to go over our comments.
On spruce.
All the sales.
Everything.
Camara and spruce.
And our
MOU. So,
cooperating agency, both the general one and the
not the forest plan one. That's in place.
The original one from 2019.
That's your motion.
That's my motion.
Do we have a second? I'll second. Any further discussion?
Would it,
Edgewater.
would it be better to have Ivan, the acting supervisor, come to the commission meeting so he could address all of us instead of just the natural resource people?
It's going to be real long.
I think Commissioner Jennings that we'd have a follow-up with that. To go through the comments, he may want his staff there. And if we go down there and meet with him, we have that interaction. And then we invite him at the end of that to come to our meeting and talk about the MOU and how that's going to be. So that's what I would suggest, one step at a time.
So the members, the attendees would be as determined by the Natural Resources Committee?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone understand the motion? All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, where are we at?
think that might be it.
I have a couple comments.
Oh, Carl Jensen too.
First of all, I spoke with Carl Jensen the other day, and he said if he could be of value, he would be on the committee. I advised him that whatever his expertise is, if we had a meeting where we wanted him there, he could come, and then we could appoint him, or we could appoint him and he could show up when he wanted to.
Did
So
we lose a member?
No.
You want to add another one?
Well, I
How
don't know
many
if
are
we,
on that committee?
about 9.
We're, right now, there's a couple that aren't attending. And we did lose a member.
Aaron Thompson.
Aaron Thompson.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he could technically
Phil,
replace Aaron.
Aaron, yeah. Aaron has not attended in quite some time.
Well, John Ferguson.
John.
So-
Well, yes.
John has emailed me the last several times that he's missed, so I think he still would like to
Sure.
attend. Aaron has been removed, so I think currently you have 10 members. So if Mr. Jensen's added, that would be number 11. That includes 2 county committees.
Yeah, so there's 8 and 2.
I believe that's right. I counted them up.
Okay, that was your motion?
No, I think we can wait until Carl wants to be there for a
Well, I
specific
visited
item.
with Carl.
Okay.
Carl said he'd like to be on.
No, this was for Carl. Oh, to add.
Do you want him added?
I'd like to see him on there.
Move to add, geez, I'm like,
Carl
Carl,
Jensen.
thank you, to the committee.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Do you have an email address for him, Bob?
I have his card at home.
Oh, I can include him.
Mr. Chairman, just a couple comments. We've had some discussion with the regional forester and the deputy regional forester, and they have assured us that the MOU and the overarching cooperative agency will be resolved by the end of October, early November. So we're getting support with them to rewrite that document and have it in place. We've had surety from them. Yesterday, Senator Larson, Senator Nesba, Senator Schollenbeck, and myself had a Zoom video with the Undersecretary of Ag and the Secretary of Ag's senior advisor and staff, and 5 members of the USDA and the regional forester and the deputy regional forester. We talked a lot about the Black Hills National Forest and their commitment to have the right timber harvest numbers over the next year. They committed to having timber sales for the missing 30,000 CCS in the first quarter of this year, pending no shutdown, and to have the full 120 next year. They've committed to that. The Secretary of Agriculture, in a meeting with the 2 governors, mentioned that, and this group is supporting that. So they're looking for everything that they can. They're also supporting continuing the rail traffic program for the big logs to Hewlett and Upton to service that mill. And they're committing to looking at dollars to retool the Hewlett mill to a more modern facility. So we've got a lot of traction, and that comes right from DC. So, and that was a legislative delegation that the Senator Pro Tem from South Dakota and the Senator Pro Tem from Wyoming put together. So that just happened yesterday. So I'll continue to update this group on its action.
Okay, yeah, that's great news.
Okay, that it?
Okay, we didn't talk about the potential funding. I know Bruce brought it up for attending the symposium for Natural Resource Committee.
Oh, the 75
Yeah.
person.
Is there a way to, like, if several wanted to attend, they could attend?
It would have to be reimbursed, I think, right out of your commissioner's travel. $75 per person for non-members.
I don't have a problem with them submitting their receipts.
Yeah, no, we
And
have-
for repayment, then we approve them with the bills.
Yep.
We could do it that way, couldn't we?
Yes.
All right, thanks. Thanks for letting us talk.
Mr. Chairman. And Bill, anybody that's interested will fill out their own registration application, right?
Yeah,
And just
and then they
coordinate me in
just
terms
ask
of
for it.
reimbursement.
But you need an actual invoice receipt, so we have to have that for payment. Okay,
They'd have to have that anyway.
yeah, FYI.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you for your hard work, guys.
We have, still have
Anything
some
else?
agenda left here. We're gonna do items from the public at this time. And I would remind those that want to get up and speak that we We're only gonna allow 3 minutes per person. And when you stand up, please state your name and your address for the record. And, obviously we can't take any action on anything because this is, whatever you're coming up to speak about haven't been published and put out on an agenda for the public. So, we do have somebody online that wants to speak. Nicole Braithwaite.
Hi, good morning. I'd like to speak.
Okay, go ahead, Nicole.
And please state your
Hi,
name and your address too, please, for the record.
Yes, sir. Nicole Braithwaite, 3135 American Eagle Road. Good morning. This is just another comment with regard to our ongoing election integrity efforts happening around the state. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I provided you with a copy of the ES&S transcript where they admit that their machines make CVRs. The CVRs are not proprietary. They do not identify a voter. They're 100% available. The county owns the data. From South Dakota canvassing, the ES&S transcript went viral and it's been shared all across the country. The lies perpetuated by ES&S and election officials across the country have been exposed. There's no covering it up anymore. It seems like the South Dakota SOS office and county legal teams are desperately trying to defend their stance of blacking out tax-paying citizens from the audit trail to their own elections by slandering truth-seeking citizens for their own benefit. The truth is always the truth, and the truth will always win, no matter how hard it's tried to be hidden. I read the letter from Rachel Sulik from the SOS office. It's not surprising that she doubled down on perpetuating the lies with more gaslighting. People demanding the truth and transparency are supposedly promoting the following: false claims of fraud are trying to make voters distrust elections, false claims against election vendors looking to undermine our secure election processes, false claims against election officials look to perpetuate mistrust in those willing to serve, false claims that tabulating machines are tied to China look to cast doubt in election results. Actually, the continued lies and misinformation from election offices, the vast and overwhelming evidence of machine fraud, the scientific evidence of algorithms and manipulated voter rolls, the video evidence of ballot harvesting and midnight ballot dumps into unattended drop boxes, the evidence of broken chain of custody, millions of fake ballots, evidence of NGO funding, impact on the 2020 vote, evidence of FBI, CIA, DHS, CISA censorship and lies about the laptop from hell, and the Twitter files exposing the Gyra platform used to censor Americans on social media, DHS labeling parents attending school board meetings as domestic terrorists, exposed networks and hacked e-poll pads, evidence elections are already federalized and centralized with total vote, VR systems 10x, evidence of government surveillance with fusion centers, connectivity on the FirstNet network, evidence that election results can be overridden, campaign finance fraud, the FTX scandal, pay for play, races overturned using hand count audits, evidence of program flash drives, software vulnerabilities, certification problems, cyber attacks of SolarWinds, and the U.S. State Department was enough for people with common sense to question the elections. We're just simply bringing this to light while the 20% continues to try to hang on by their fingernails to the lies that don't hold water anymore. Good luck, you're not fooling anyone. To conclude, we live in a Republican-controlled state. Virtually every office is controlled by Republicans, yet every Republican office holder that could produce the truth is still covering for ES&S and B Pro. Why? These so-called Republicans better wake up. It's not too late to do the right thing. Hand counts at the precinct level. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Donuts.
Okay. Who else in the audience would like to speak? Go ahead, ma'am.
My name is Meta Halverson, 20399 Blue Ridge Loop. And I'm just going to pass this around so that I only have 5 copies to the commissioners ahead of time here. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Voting is a civic duty, and being able to participate in elections is one of the freedoms that we can exercise. First, I'd like to say how important our voting precincts are to our community of White. Having an easily accessible and convenient location for voter precincts in the areas where voters reside likely increases voter turnout. I volunteered as a poll watcher in the last 2 elections and asked others from the area to volunteer as poll workers to fill in the time slots on election day. In both of the elections, I had several volunteers who were glad to be involved with part of the election process. With that being said, I do have concerns about the electronic equipment used when voting or tabulating the votes. I don't know if any of you would guarantee me that what goes into the ballot box from my ballot represents my actual vote. Here's one of the reasons why, and I will provide you with a handout of some data that has been provided, which I already gave you, showing the 2022 election night results of the South Dakota candidates losing votes. So if you take a look at that, you can see how our Secretary of State's votes went down like by around 4,000 votes in 5 minutes. Why would a candidate ever lose votes? Hand counting would provide more trust in the election process versus putting your ballot into a black box and not knowing what result is going to come out on the other end. Then there are the cast vote records, also known as CVRs, which auditors across the state have said do not exist when interested parties inquired about CVRs. Then it was changed to CVRs exist, but you cannot have them because they contain proprietary information and may identify a voter and how they voted. CVRs do not contain proprietary information. CVRs provide an audit trail for the tabulating machines. Each ballot scan is converted to a digital record. This function has been mandated since 2005 by the Election Assistance Commission and the National Institute of Standards and Technology as a requirement for certification. According to the NIHS.gov website, and I quote, a CVR is an electronic record of a voter's selections with usually one CVR created per page of a ballot. Election results are produced by tabulating the collection of CVRs, and audits can be done by comparisons of the paper ballots and paper records of voter selection against CVRs, end quote. As stated in the executive summary at the NIHS.gov website, quote, the purpose of this specification is to provide an interoperable, non-proprietary
You're out of time, ma'am.
data exchange to promote greater transparency. I'd like to see the use of paper ballots only with hand counting in the precincts and no machines or electronics.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna make a point on this. Every single one of these on this page, the second one is less. I suspect that it's probably not a precinct thing, but the ones you highlighted are, and so are every other one in between. The second one, the middle one is less than the first one. And about by a similar percentage, it looks like. I'm not sure what that represents. It's an interesting
But it would be nice
piece
to
of
have
paper.
it explained.
All right. Anyone else? Go ahead.
I'm Deborah again. I live at 1234 Cracker Jack Road, Whitewood. And I just wanted to elaborate a bit on Venus. I'm referring to the letter that you received from Rachel from the Secretary of State's office and the ES&S secret reporting. So in Rachel's letter, she points out that only 4 counties in South Dakota have the equipment to do cast vote records. They need a special computer and special software, but only 4 counties had it, and she figured out $642,000 would get every county in the state covered. Every county would have it, the software, laptop. But she doesn't. She says she doesn't have the money. It's not in the budget. So that says Lawrence County won't have cast vote records. So we can't do a post-election audit because you need cast vote records to do a post-election audit. And so if we don't have that ability, our election is worthless. You would have to not use your tabulator or buy that equipment. And she states that it'd be more expensive to buy 1 county versus 62. So she pointed that out, that we're negligent. And the Election Assistance Commission requires we have a post-election audit if we use a tabulator. No tabulators, we don't have to do those audits. So that's something to consider for this little county. We have nice small little precincts, so we probably do a hand count pretty good because we're not huge. So it's a possibility. But the most disturbing thing about her letter relates to you guys. She claims that in this ES&S meeting, they said that our county auditors weren't trained. They, in this, I can give you the page, it makes me so upset. The gentleman is Mr. Schwab from ES&S. He's our county guy. He does the whole state of South Dakota. He says, so before the primary election of last year, we conducted regional trainings with all of the county auditors. So they did how to load the election, how to run the LNA test. Doesn't mean anything to me. Specifics about cast vote records and audit logs were something we didn't address. They didn't even tell our auditors about cast vote records. They didn't even mention the importance of them for an audit, and they're throwing you under the bus.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Mrs. Swenson's here to talk about, I think, the Calvin Dardis, Dorsey Dardis bed and breakfast or
Okay.
event. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the airport?
Yes, I'm Rhonda Swenson, co-owner of Spearfish Bed and Breakfast located at 4220 Airport Road. Speaking about my neighbors, Cal and Darcy Dias at 4190 Airport Road.
Okay.
They have they do Airbnb, which is one thing, but they have had one illegal wedding on their property, which I informed Amber about. She then informed them that they needed to get a special event permit. She had 3 more of those in that time, not just with her Airbnb people, but the wedding people. She has promoted our place, our barn, as what the people are getting with their weddings. We've had traffic. They've tried to park their vehicles over by us because she doesn't have enough parking. They have broken the fence that we have put up, the fence that we ran all the way from the property line, from the beginning of our property down past the barn to the almost to the creek behind the barn. She's broken that 3 times with their people. I pick up trash after every one of her events. I've picked up at least 3 bags of trash after every one of her stays, events, and everything else. Cigarette butts have been thrown across the fence in my yard from her events that she does not monitor. She's not there to do anything about them. Her people trespass onto my property because her property is garbage. It's full of weeds, overgrown grass, and at least three slash piles that have been there for the last 3 years when they took the trees down to build their home. Her people continue to trespass onto our stuff. They continue to say the barn, they're getting pictures by the barn. The people have trespassed over, trying to take their pictures in front of my 117-year-old historic barn because she's promoting that. I didn't give her written permission to use our barn in any of her pictures that she has or to help promote her place whatsoever. This is Bella Vista is what she calls her place. And I would really like something done about this. She doesn't have a CUP, we do, but she does not.
Okay, well, we will certainly look into it. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you for hearing me today.
You bet. Anyone else? Mr. Williams.
Rand Williams, 742 State Street, and I understand you have received a copy of the what is the meaning of Chart 1 in Lawrence County Jail Study, all the decisions.
Say that again, Rand.
Did you send it to him, Bob?
We've seen it before, so
No,
I
this
didn't
never been seen.
duplicate it.
We didn't see.
No, I mean we've all been through all of that, and also as I briefly told you, the sheriff has got some new material for you to look at.
So
pertaining to that matter.
Well, I'll just accurate information, good decisions can only be made with correct information. Misinformation, false information leads to potentially disastrous results. Chart 1, jail population annual volume clearly shows a dramatic drop in inmate population 2012 to 2013. 2012, 1,734 inmates. to 2019, 1,000 inmates. Nowhere in Mr. Gulof's jail study is the information mentioned or explained, but Gulof's recommendation is we abandon our current 51 bed facility and nearly triple the capacity to 52 with a $52 million mountaintop complex. I will get you copies of that. I'm trying for a year and a half and trying to get the bottom line of that. I got misinformation, some false information. You're telling me, and that's I'm seeking information. That's the only way I can get that. You're
Correct.
saying he will provide that.
Yes.
I need that information.
I understand that. He hasn't got it to you yet, but he's
He's
on top of it.
He's had the question for three weeks, a year and a half. I would like that.
Yeah, no, he will be getting a hold of you. I spoke to him just this morning.
Okay, I would appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Rand mentioned something that someone was supposed to give to you. I didn't know that he was coming, so I didn't give you.
It was a document that I
Because
had.
no one's ever seen it until you. I mean, they have not seen that. Can you share that with them or not? Do I have to
Yeah,
make-
absolutely.
Okay.
Can we have a copy of it?
I'll make. Yeah. I'll give you. I got a couple of extra copies here. Here you go. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Make sure.
You're talking about the letter, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No one's ever seen that.
No.
But I know. I know. what it
You
says.
wrote this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Excuse me. I should say.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. If you would.
Sheriff Dean has it. He's working on it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Get
Yep.
an address.
742 State Street.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else want to speak?
Okay.
No.
I just backed up the paper ballots, and I just recently came to knowledge of the
What's your name and address,
Jacqueline
ma'am?
Crowley, St. Ives, South Dakota.
Okay.
And I just came recently to know an item of no ink, where the auditor has the right to change any outcome. And I choose not to have that, and I don't understand why any auditor would want that.
Okay.
And that all rolls in with this ES&S and all those machines that are not good. So,
All right. Thank you.
What's your address, Daphne?
19516 Crooked Oaks Road.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Anybody else online? I mean, Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
see Nicole. She already spoke. There's one other person, MAR. I don't know who that is. If you want to speak, apparently not.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is debt title.
Mr. Chairman, I look for a motion for executive session pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2 subsection 3, consulting with legal counsel, reviewing communications from legal counsel about proposed or pending litigation or contractual matter. So moved. Second.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And Mr. Chairman, with that, I will be, because it is executive session, I will be muting the recording and also turning the camera. But then we'll go back live again at the end.
Sorry.
Hi,
Now
Bruce. Now it's 11:40.
Okay, go ahead.
It's
All right, we're
11:45.
coming out of executive session without any action taken.
I'll make a motion to rescind resolution number 2007-23. I don't like a steel trap. When did that? Until, right. Dealing with selling of tax certificates until action by the legislature has been taken on the newest United States Supreme Court decision.
Okay, do we have a second? I'll second it for further discussion.
So it just leaves us not selling a certificate until action is taken of some sort.
To redo the motion.
Yeah.
But we can reinstate it
We
any
can
time by a
reinstate, sure.
resolution.
So literally do it at your next meeting.
Okay. Everyone understand it? All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I
Thanks,
will-
Deb.
I will
Do
still
we have a
be sending out delinquent
Yes,
tax
one
letters.
more.
What it means is the county will hold the tax
Right, you just
certificate.
don't sell the certificate.
I won't sell it
Oh
down the
boy,
road,
just cleaned it up.
whatever. I will
Oh
still
boy.
take action.
Okay.
Motion to go into executive session
So as of today, I no
Pursuant to
longer sell tax
SDCL
certificates, correct? Bruce?
125-2, benefit one.
Right.
That's right.
Okay.
Second.
and Post it on my webpage.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, thank you guys. I
All those
appreciate
in
it.
favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So again, for those
Will you
listening,
put the sign up there for us?
Okay.
Commission's gonna go back into executive session for a personnel matter this time. So I will begin of the meeting at 3:00.
Okay,
Okay.
11:51.
Coming out of executive session without any action taken.
You're ready for commissioner questions?
We are.
Well, don't we have to do something?
Yeah, I would say, if you're
Yeah.
inclined to make a motion regarding that point.
How do you want that worded?
So I would propose that motion be that Christy Sims, who's the deputy state's attorney, is allowed for a leave of absence for personal reasons with no pay to extend through
December 31st, 2023. So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion.
One question, y'all. How come you would put that date on there instead of the date where trial ends? Because that gives the other people time between there to do something that we haven't done.
Well,
You know
so
what I mean?
I'd be careful about talking about things in executive session, but my idea was that you would do it on a step-by-step basis. So reach one threshold and then potentially extend it or not later on. I don't think there's any reason not to do it till the end of the year. Does that make sense?
All right.
It is if the other counties can't jump in there and hire.
Well, yeah, we have to be very careful because
Yeah.
executive session, right? And yeah,
Call the question.
All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
thank you.
Now items from the commissioners. Sorry, Richard.
Well, that's all right. There's no problem. I was just gonna bring up the fact that.
Okay, we're still online, so you have items from the commissioners?
Yep.
I was just gonna bring up the fact that Michelle May has retired and she's gonna work through October. And it takes a long time for SCSU to make up their mind or get the people rehired there. We ought to start off right away. At least let them know about it if we want to get another person for Butte County.
Who does the hiring?
SCSU, I don't know.
She's an employee of the state.
Yeah.
So we don't have any control over that.
No.
We just start writing a check when they do get her hired.
That's right. But they ask us if we approve the person. Along the line, they ask us to approve. And it's just time consuming the way they do it. We went through it before and took us a long time.
So the county's not on the search committee for that position?
Well, they can be, but they'll have to revert back to the SCSU.
They would have to ask us to be on the search committee. Yes. I would have. Thank you.
Anything else, gentlemen? Mr. Diamond.
Well, we have a letter here from the city of Spearfish on a TIF number 7. And it's addressed to Mr. Randall Rosenau County Commission, Mr. Eric Jennings, chairman of the Spearfish Rural Fire District, and Misty Caldwell, the president of the Spearfish School District. None of those have those positions anymore.
I do actually.
Do you? Are you back on?
I am.
Okay. So one of them is correct by default. But
Are you back on that board?
yeah, and so I don't know what we do to inform the city who our chairman is.
I can email Marlo. I saw that. I got a copy sent to me. I think probably on your behalf.
Right. I saw it. Okay, we're CC'd on it.
Okay.
But I'm just astonished.
Okay, anything else?
I have one other thing. The city of Spearfish has asked that they're going to do a comprehensive plan. They've asked if Lawrence County would like to have somebody participate on that.
It's me. We appointed me last meeting.
We appointed Brandon last
How was
meeting.
that appointment made?
By the
By
commission.
the election.
By the commission
Yeah, by
vote.
motion.
By the vote of the commissioners.
I see somebody that Amber did suggested or something. How'd you come out, bro? How'd you decide to do that?
Marlo asked if I would, and then it got brought to this board, and the board nominated me, and I was elected.
Okay. Yeah, Marlo was the one that said something about it.
Okay, anything else?
Well, I did have something. I don't know what it was. Must not have been too.
Meeting adjourned.
7:56.
That will
Okay.
conclude the record. Thanks everybody
Right.
for joining. That's it.
So we didn't need to do a road district item, that was.
Oh, yes, we do.
Stand by.
Yes, we did.
That's right. Oh,
Pause.
thank you, Eric.
I would move to take the road district off the table.
For everybody that was in,
Wait, I put it, I think I put it up.
Let me look.
Yeah, you'd have to do it then.
Let me look here just a second. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Flanagan Diver table.
I take it off the table.
Second.
We need to go on that.
Yeah.
It just comes off the table.
you can vote on it.
All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried, it's off the table.
I move to continue the item to our next meeting, so we have time to get more information.
And that is the Victoria Lane Road District, noting receipt of the Victoria Lane Road District petition. There was an issue with the legal description.
So did we get that
Okay.
resolved?
I think it got resolved, but I haven't seen it.
So we need more to get more
Okay, so we'll just
documentation.
we'll continue the receipt of
Okay.
the till the next
Was
meeting.
there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval
Divert
to,
Divert Flanagan.
so that continue to the next meeting. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
11:58.
Oh.